Greetings, YouTube. Only Twitch hears that. YouTube can't hear that because it'll get my channel in weird algorithmic poison. I can't use no words, and I have to be careful about what I talk about on stream. I don't know if I'm immune to no word poison on YouTube. I think I've probably already poisoned my own algorithm many times over, swearing at machines, because that's what we do. That's what this whole channel is. I should rebrand into swearing at machines. That was back when it was easier to make multiple accounts on Twitch, so people were making completely ridiculous logins just for the burn the subs. You know, honestly, I think that's what it was. We had a particular user, and their humor, their particular brand of humor was thing and something else, like sex joke, and it was all underscores instead of spaces. That it really felt like that one user was doing this. It turns out, I mean, they claim that they weren't making these accounts, they were searching for them. And so searching for the accounts, they all look the same because they're searching for it, but I don't know, something's fishy about that. Something felt a little off about that whole thing. But hey, each one of those subs was $5 in my pocket. Well, it's $5 in Twitch's pocket, and then they divvy out about half of that to me because they're so kind. They're so kind with my resources that I bring. Anyway, I wish we got more of a YouTube cut. YouTube's a little bit more generous. All right, back over here. We got a nice cozy stream today. I've got reverse engineering, which is something that I know how to do, and I can maybe teach you guys some stuff, and we can get some notes on what the pinouts and the pin-ins and the pinouts are on these things. The pin-ins and the pinouts and the paninis. These are the paninis of our lives. We, for the YouTubers out there, all zero of you, all none of you, we are listening to Apollo 440's album Electroglide in Blue, which is one of my favorites. A lot of good stuff on this album. And I haven't listened to it for a long time. Kind of neat to get back to it. What this is in anticipation of is building a computer for the stalks. Sorry, I'm hiccuping a little bit. I had spicy ramen. I'm anticipating building a computer that'll just be for the stalks. And so these things will all sit on some kind of maybe a plastic frame, and maybe the steering wheel will have a piece that spins and will hit this little thing so that when I turn on the turn signals, it can go past and then come back and deactivate. So that's important. That's an important feature. I need to have something plastic that's going to contact this. And I think these will sit out from the wheel a little ways. So they'll be, you know, like here's the wheel, will be out here. And so I can build something out here that'll spin with the wheel. And the wheel has two little tabs that we can key into. So we can key into those two tabs and then put screws around the perimeter for one side. The other side will just sandwich onto that and then attach to the frame. And so that'll spin with everybody. And if I give it just a little protrusion, then we can hit this thing. And I'll have the proper clicky feel. This was used in a game, wasn't it? This was one of those games used this. One of those PlayStation-y kind of games. These are all about the same height. Here, what's the song called? I need to find it. Oh, that's right. We don't have specific titles on this one. This is uploaded in 22. What? What's going on? Smith Clay says happy partnerversary. Hey, I appreciate that very much, Smith Clay, as well as the 48 months. What's my glucose level doing today? Do I have glucose level on this thing? We gonna rock it? That's not too bad. 24 grams of carbs. What I do when I do the ramen is I take the noodles and I snap them in half. And then I use only half of the noodles because otherwise it's a big bomb of carbohydrates. Then I add 2 eggs. I do 6-minute boil on the noodle, and at 3 minutes, I drop 2 eggs from a decent amount of height so that they go under the noodles. And so those will poach in the next 3 minutes. Yeah, for my ramen. And then if we have any leftovers or anything, I'll usually chuck those in too. Speedy house for getting twisted. Maybe. I've got LTJ Bookham in here too. LTJ Bookham's awesome. Yeah, I need to reintegrate my Stream Deck into everything. A lot of the buttons don't work right now, and I need to have like a button that I can hit that'll put up the blood glucose and stuff like that, so I can just quickly check it. 10-minute ramen cook, I'm 3 and done. You know, it takes a while for the water to boil, and then it's the Budak noodles have you boiling them for 6 minutes. I think so. I think they say 6. I like them to be soft. I don't like. So a lot of my friends, like literally everybody I've ever talked to, says I like noodles to be a little bit al dente. I'm like, no, I want mush. Like I want it to be mushy. It's just what I like. You should have your glucose level along with things like heart rate and bottom or top of the screen permanently, like a HUD in a video game. I could do that. I could do like the Doom guy thing, and I could get a little video of me just being like, that would be pretty funny. Gonad does stuff like that, and you know, we've got a couple of these like bio monitors, and I would love to have all of the bio monitors going, because this thing will do heart rate and respiratory, just using high frequency like microwaves. It does heart rate and respiratory stuff. So if we could get that working and put it on a little tripod right below the camera here, then it could do that kind of stuff. We could actually get like more bio data, so I could have glucose level, like, you know, the blood stuff, and maybe we could have it sort of loosely calculate a blood pressure based on the heart rate and stuff. That would be kind of cool. It's definitely a thing, and it's probably a thing that I should do. But yeah, I haven't gotten to it yet. All these wonderful projects that I need to work on, you know. We gonna rock it. This is from some PlayStation game, and I forget which one it was. I don't think it was Gran Turismo. This is just right on the soundtrack to it. We should probably put this in like an image. I should do an MS Paint of this data that I've already got based on the seat, so that it's on my file server so that I can find it again. So it's not just a sticky note sitting in a mess. Just a sticky note in a messy town. Actually made it to the, I threw a little, like there was a sticker sitting on the desk, and I grabbed it and I flung it towards the garbage can. It actually made it. I don't know what gave it that little bit of extra weight, but it actually made it all the way to the garbage can. It's very unprecedented. Right into the ocean. Man, this would be super useful to use for other motors that I have, but I don't really have any other stuff to adjust. It would be good for the steering wheel motors. These have position sensors on them, so I don't know what I'm going to do with the Hall effect sensors for the motor, for the steering wheel. It definitely will be a system where chat will try to move the motors, and if I catch them, I'll use the controls to cancel out the movement. So like, notice the wheel moving, and then I have to grab the stalk and do the down thing to just cancel it real quick, just throw it in the opposite direction. Not sure what this does. We'll talk about that when we actually get started, but I don't know what that is. We could look it up in the car manual, but that's no fun. Thank you, Wayne Johnson. I don't know how many years it's been. It's been too long. Too long with not enough viewers. And while I'd like to do something about that, that involves finishing the board. Oh, yeah, get this, the party Satana. Mice? What? Oh, nice. Oh, it's a Satana rave. A satanic rave. We got to finish this. And when we finish this, I'll have to apply for Twitch's front page. And that'll net us. Game over, man. Game over, mi amigo. That's the song that's playing in the background. It's what the sample is in it. But anyway, burn the subs. We got to finish that up, and then I'll be able to get on Twitch front page with it. And maybe that'll definitely bring in a lot of subscribers, but it'll also maybe bring in some viewers. The viewers are the important part. The subs are secondary. It would be nice to have enough of them. Big dance party music. All right, we'll get started in just a minute here. We got a lot of work to do today. I definitely don't want to just reverse engineer one of these things. I kind of want to go through multiple of them, and I think they're all going to work just about the same way. I did cheat. I cheated on the Mercedes-Benz thing. I bought the Mercedes-Benz steering wheel adjustment stock, and I couldn't help it. I opened it up and I looked inside. So we'll take a look at this thing and maybe discuss how we're going to sense this, because it's a 5-pin device, right? What do you do with 5 pins? You got 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons, 5 buttons, 6 buttons. How do you do anything with that? Bovanet, thank you for 6 months. And Wayne Johnson for 69 months. Is that a 6-7 reference? Is that what that is? Hey, thank you guys so much for subbing. I really appreciate all that. And the happy partner anniversaries. Apparently today is the day, however many years ago, I don't want to count the number of years ago it was, that I partnered with Twitch and became, you know, part of their inner circle. They call me at like 3 o'clock in the morning and they're just crying and they're going, Bother, I can't believe everyone was so mean to me. And I'm like, it's okay, Twitch, I know. It's all right. You are who you are in your heart, and we will not judge you. Anyway. They don't give a shit about me. All they do is they let me have a little check mark next to my name that makes partners who came over from YouTube and immediately got to negotiate their contract, it makes them annoyed because I show up in their chat with the little check mark badge and I'm not part of their inner circle. So they go, who is this interloper in my chat? I hate this person. It's poison. But like, I earned this, you guys earned the check mark for me. You know, through my wonderful charismatic style and the way that I complain about people and constantly talk about shitty politics and become a complete sellout, that you guys helped that happen. It's not just on me, but I mean, like, that badge was tough to earn just getting followers through Twitch. Twitch doesn't have a great search algorithm that helps you find content that you might like. YouTube does. I have been streaming to YouTube. What is YouTube doing for streaming? Nothing. Like, they do nothing to help you get popular. They're doing as much as Twitch, it seems, because I am not. I get 4 viewers maybe on YouTube. So, is it me? Is it my title cards? I don't know. YouTube is just basically a place for me to shovel my e-waste, all of my online content waste onto a platform that won't delete it after a month. So. But you guys helped make all that happen. My weird, unique little kind of daytime TV-ish stream where I talk about technology and we build things. Yeah, it's all shorts. Everything is attention, the economy of attention and keeping somebody's, you know, jingling keys going for the shortest amount of time possible. Also, you know, people like edited content a lot better than what I do. My content is not edited, and sometimes we have a good result, sometimes we have a bad result, but when it comes to this kind of engineering, people appreciate the whole story to be wrapped up in 20 minutes. So. And the fact is, I'm also not talking that much. I'm like listening to my own music, which is not what I should be doing. I should be talking a little bit more. I just haven't heard this album in decades. I think I have the speakers in here up a little too. Now the Rodecaster's actually doing a pretty good job. I can't hear my own desktop audio. You can probably hear it when I'm talking though. There might be a little bit of like an echo on the music. Which is why I'm getting it out of here. Music is gone. No one will ever hear that, ever. Because it doesn't get recorded on my drive, it doesn't get recorded on YouTube, and it sure as hell does not get recorded on Twitch. Everything else will be on Twitch for a month, and then YouTube will have everything for the streams as well. Hi, I haven't been good about keeping up my schedule. Life has been kind of getting in the way. A lot of stuff going on around here. A lot of snow clearing has been happening lately, and we're about to get snow tomorrow, I think, but it's not going to be much of a snow. Boy, it has been bitterly cold, and my dog has had more energy than I've ever seen her have. she loves this weather. This dog is basically a corgi-shaped ball of fur, multiple layers of fur. If you want to see skin, you've got to like really, really get in there. Like when she has a tick, you got to really, really get in there, and it's tough to get all the way through that. That undercoating is just incredible on the corgis. They are snow dogs. She's been so happy with snow. Oh, is YouTube, did that just come up on its own? Wait a minute. I forgot. I forgot. That apparently just came up on its own. So I think maybe we have YouTube. Let me just like check. I'm gonna check. I'm gonna go to YouTube and I'm gonna say 1, 2, 4. Okay, so that does work. Cool. Yeah, all right, cool. Yeah, all the systems are go. What did I want to work on today? Well, okay, so here we are. I've got this whole darn sin pit sitting behind me. I'm clearing off what was originally a brewing table. Back when butcher blocks were cheap, I got a giant ass butcher block and I took a router to the whole table and I put in this long shower drain into the thing. And that was going to be for brewing beer. I was going to have the Herms indoor brewing system. It's a very electronic way to make beer. I enjoyed that. I did that for a while and I definitely want to do it again. I just don't have the parts anymore. So I don't speak that language. Happy partner anniversary. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, but I don't know how to pronounce those little squiggle marks that are above some of the letters in there. Yeah, anyway, so this is going to be a brewing table. And then when I started reconnected with Julian and had Julian come over and do his modular synthesizer stuff, this would be a place for Julian and Dave to play their stuff. And so I added the little laptop stand to it. It's kind of like the guest table. But now we are working on a sim pit, and this thing is not small. This thing is anything but small. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to wheel the brewing table into the other room and have this thing wheel in instead of it. And so when I have Julian here to play music, I can roll that table back into here, and then this thing will have to go into the other room. But that'll be sort of the plan. So for now, we're going to get that table out of there. I'm going to do that, off camera. Get the table out of here and then have that big open space so that we can actually get to burn the subs, and I can get to the sim pit and work on building that up too. So that's the plan. That's the plan for this space. Hopefully we can get it to come to fruition a little more. This thing is going to be like a crazy gaming pod. I'm going to have things like throttles that I can put in and joysticks, and it'll be cool if I can get all the systems up into one thing. And that's sort of where we're taking today's stream is I need to figure out what the pinouts are for these stalks. And these stalks are from decently older cars. They're maybe 10 years old. What these stalks do, what they do in these cars is they're buttons, but if you have 15 functions on a stalk, you don't want to have 15 18 gauge wires coming out of this thing, because then it's a nightmare for wiring. And in older cars, that's what you have. You have 10,000 wires going all over the place, but there's like a function button, there's a flash your brights function, there's different wiper settings, there's there's a lot of stuff on these stalks now, right? It doesn't just do one thing. So having a bunch of wires coming off of it is sort of it's a necessary evil. What they do to reduce the number of wires is actually kind of fascinating. What they'll do is they will put a resistor on the button throw. So it'll be off. When you throw one button, it'll go through one resistor. When you go through another button, it'll go through another resistor. There's 2 different voltage levels on that wire. They've made it more analog. That's trouble for us, because microcontrollers typically don't have a lot of analog going on. We can mux it. We can use those muxes that I have that are 12-volt muxes, and then they could sense the voltage level, and then we can flip our analog pin from one wire to the next to sense what voltage level is there. That's one way to do it. I was hoping we could come up with something a little different. Maybe we can come up with something that flips different digital pins at the time. I'm not sure. There's all kinds of ways to skin this cat, but I think the best way is, why are you skinning a cat? Like, don't do that. It's disgusting. Anyway, so there's multiple ways to solve this problem. We got to figure out which one we want to do. Before that, I'd like to know what the outputs of these things are so I can hook it up properly. Thank you for the exploding AT-Tinyversary. Gonad found the channel at around the same time I was blowing up AT-Tinys, and that was specifically for this project. This is what gave me this gas pedal to digital signal converter. Nowadays, though, if I went out and I bought modern car parts, I would have a wager that these stalks would probably be speaking LIN bus. I would bet that they would be. I was expecting to find LIN bus in this. I was bad. I was bad. This is bad. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I opened this up. And I know what's inside of it. So we're not doing a true to form reverse engineering today. I already know how this thing works. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. We'll open it up and take a look inside, but it's 5 wires. And so you get one resistor, another resistor. On another wire, you get one resistor, another resistor. Then you have this button on another wire. That's 4 wires and an LED on the end. Apparently, and my question was, what the hell does this thing do? Hold on. Let's micro procedure. Get that camera calibrated so it looks good, because we're going to need it. I was like, what the hell is this? This is the button that sends wavy lines out of your steering wheel. Why would I want to initiate and uninitiate wavy lines coming out of my steering wheel? I thought it might tilt the wheel, but generally these forward and backwards, up and down are the controls that you get. Yeah, this is the ejector seat. You kind of tune it up and then activate it with another stalk, just so it's not suspicious. This is wheel heating. So this will turn on the wheel heating, this will turn it off, and then the LED on the end, it's probably a red LED, tells you if your wheel heat is on. So I don't know what the resize wheel, oh, it makes it larger and smaller. Yeah, it's the wheel. There's a couple packets that we could send into that steering wheel. I don't know what the addresses are. I don't have like a Mercedes document that tells me what the signals into the steering wheel are. BMWs, generally, you've got all those hyper BMW nerds poking at every signal. We know some seat commands that we can send the seat, and we'll work on that later. But thank you. It is my partner anniversary. I don't know which one. I don't know how long has it been. I don't think it was 2016 I started. It was like 2020 or something that I partnered. So it's been like 30 years. Anyway, so I don't know what the packets are that go into the steering wheel, but this is evidence that there might be a wheel heat, a steering wheel heater, which is hilarious to turn on, because then you're like, what is this? It never tells me how many years. Yeah, I don't know. It would be nice to know. I could just search my email from Twitch, and then it says partner. What the hell is Robos playing? All right, let's see how many years it's been. From Twitch. Partner. Oh, there's a lot. There's like partner dispatch and stuff. Hold on, I gotta get back to like 2019. Let's see. I have no idea. I don't know when it was. Oh, partner application to the program. Unfortunately, we cannot offer you a partnership at this time. That was 2018. We cannot offer you a thing. Payout. So I don't know the exact date, but it is somewhere in 2018. Wow, that's okay. It's been a little while. Unless that was the original. That might have been. Can't offer you a partnership. Cannot offer you a partnership. 2018. But I don't think 2018 was it. I don't think that's when I did it. Let's see, hold on. Partner application, unfortunately cannot. That was 2019. Stream summary, processes, an update to your VODs. Partner application to the partner program. We've reviewed your content and statistics, but unfortunately we are unable to offer you. That's 2020. There's multiple rejections in here, because I was trying to partner before I got the numbers, before I got the average numbers, but it's really all about average numbers. We are processing your application. Stream variety content, blah, blah, blah. You're invited to the Twitch partner program. 2/18, oh yeah, 2/6/2020. That's it. So 2/6/2020. Oh, I'm like those kids that were born in the 2000s that can just immediately know their age. without doing a math problem. So yeah, it was 2020. 2020. So it has been 6 years. Why did I look that up? I didn't want to know. I don't want to know that. Yeah, it was on the coattails of the Rabaz raids. All right, so should we start reverse engineering? Let's start reverse engineering. Let's get into this. So these stalks are generally like a product, and they have a particular way of communicating things that we just talked about, where they have different resistors on the singular wire. So we have a common ground, and then we've got resistors on wires that we have to sense a voltage level on or something else. And I don't think I'm going to put this into a wheat bridge just to sense the resistor on the line. I think what I'll do, you put ground on the one, and then you I guess run a voltage through it and see where it drops to. No, that's not what you do. You would have one piece of your resistor divider. I don't know. Let's take this apart first, and we'll get an idea of what it looks like. So I'm going to get pen and paper, and then we can eventually commit this to MS Paint. But first, let's get into the sucker. These are using Torx bits, and I guess I got to find the tiny little Torx bit that goes to this thing. Oh, this is a couple days before I. A couple days I sent out this design, the slip ring design. A couple days before partnering. Cool. 3 bolts on this mechanical thing, 5 pins in the back. Pretty simple, right? Nowadays, I would assume that these things would speak the digital language that I'd want them to, and it would have been nice at the time if I had bought all of the stuff in digital flavor and modern digital flavor, because then I wouldn't need to do as much to get them all running together. What I think will eventually happen with this is that these will become, these will be wrapped into their own micro, as well as the steering wheel commands will be on that micro. So that micro will be speaking LIN bus to the steering wheel, and then it'll be speaking CAN bus over back to the controller, this thing over here, the Raspberry Pi, and then the Raspberry Pi will then speak the same CAN bus, hopefully on the same line. It'll speak that CAN bus to the HID controllers that will speak to the actual computer. And then also the open FFB wheel will have its own CAN bus addresses from buttons and stuff that we will have this controller communicating with. So the open FFB will be its own USB device that will have the steering wheel on it, and then it'll have a bunch of analog and digital things that I can then wire to whatever I feel like within the Raspberry Pi system. And I'm hoping that we can do that in Node-RED. I hope it's fast enough in Node-RED. I don't know about those Java flows. They should be fast if we were doing it directly, but I want to have that visual point-to-point wiring schema that I envision that Node-RED brings to the table, basically. All right, let's take a look at what's inside here. That's a big mouse. 3D connection. Whoa, code rushed. Reading with a party of 6. Anybody got room for that? There's seats everywhere. Just seats. How's it going, code rushed? That's a big mouse. Yeah, so I really like the Microsoft mouse style, and 3D Connections got together with Fusion 360 for their little partnery, whatever the program is that gives me my free Fusion 360 software. 3D Connection was like, hey, you guys want a wireless 3D puck mouse as well as our super duper CAD mouse? And I was like, hell yeah, brother. And so they sent me this for free. This is like a $100 thing for both of these. Good mouse. I like it a lot. I don't particularly subscribe to the newsletter of the center button. The center button is feels like an old 1990s kind of thing. But I like the Microsoft mouse shape, and it's, comfy for that. I do the pinch grip on the thumb and the pinky, and I'm used to having a forward and back button on the side. The center button, I think using the software for this thing, I can program it to do a bunch of stuff. It has a power button on the back. I like that. Yeah, 3 top buttons. Right now, this center button is the same thing as clicking the scroll wheel. So in terms of using this for CAD, I'm sure it's wonderful. It's a little expensive for what it is. I do like it. And I've tanked it a couple times with static electricity, in which case it just forgets what its settings are. You got to unplug it and plug it back in. It's supposed to be wireless, but my computer's way over there. So I have it on tether. I'm sure the battery lasts a long time. I can't really comment to that. I've sent a letter to 3D Connections because they wanted feedback. And I said, yeah, it's constantly in the background and I don't hate it. I don't mind it at all. It's actually a pretty decent mouse. Would I go out and buy one? No, because I didn't go out and buy it. I was offered it. Yeah, the free little tiny bits of free gear. Sometimes viewers will send me stuff. It's kind of neat. Certainly doesn't keep the lights on, but it is neat to get freebies every now and then and review stuff. I'm being an influencer. Look at me. Become influenced. Influencer powers, go. Yeah, so that's something I get to do. It's kind of neat. And I probably could get on the circuit for all the free games and stuff. The crew over at Roboz's channel, some of those guys have their people, quote unquote, that they contact at like game companies and stuff. And like, hey, I'm a streamer. And they're like, oh, you're a streamer? Here's free stuff to play my game. Like, it's kind of crazy the way that works. All right, so inside of this thing, we have the gimbal for the stalk that's being held with plastic with a little bit of grease. The stalk itself looks to be some kind of a brass stalk. I don't know what this is exactly. We have 4 wires going into it. So this was kind of the cool thing that I found is 4 wires going into the end of the stalk. So you have neutral position, this position, and then you have 2 more wires that are doing this thing. So you got 2 buttons and then something on the end. And I was like, wait, why would there be 4 wires going up to the end of this thing? And it's because there's an LED in it, and it's an independent LED. So one of the pins, and they use one of these. I don't know why they use this. Maybe if your thing breaks, you can. This seems a little expensive for this particular piece of engineering, but these interface directly with output pins, which is a little bit weird. Are those directly with output pins? Maybe not. No, are they? So that'd mean 4 of the pins are dedicated to this stuff on the end. I guess so. And then that would mean 4, and then this one, oh, you'd have only 1 pin for up, down, right, and left. That might be the case. If we only have 1 pin for up, down, right, and left, then these make a bit more. There's 4 resistors on this thing. So you've got 2 carts, one that does vertical, this one, and the other one does horizontal, the one behind it. Let's take a look. Let's open this thing. Oh, I cracked it. I cracked it. In my anger, I cracked the thing. Well, we'll still be able to get it back together so that it functions. These screws are a little weird. These ones I found fascinating. Too small. Too big? Actually, wait. Too big? There's a smaller one. Yeah, here, check these out. These are abnormal screws. I've not seen these in many things, but they only take a couple rotations to fully embed themselves because their pitch is very steep. And I don't really know why they would be like that. And somehow I ended up cracking the plastic with it. But that's really weird. Why would you use these? Maybe just because you don't need it to be very tight? But like, what the hell? It's so weird. This is such a weird thing. For the wow effect, yeah. Mercedes is operating on a whole different level. They have their own thread pitch on their screws. This truly is a masterful piece of engineering. Most likely this is just so that they don't have to thread the hole in order to get a good grip. But I've seen a few screws like that in DeWalt tools. I haven't taken apart too many of my DeWalts. I did take apart one power drill, and I actually just recently threw out the gearbox for it because I was like, you know what, enough is enough. I'm not doing anything with it. Saves them 1 second per part. It's so weird though. Yeah, what is that? Is that for real? 2 rakes. One of them has 4 points. The other one has 3. Why? I don't know. Because like I could snap off this extra one here and the 2 outside ones here, and it would. I could use them. I could use them in the slip ring to make better contact. I want to find some of these sliding contacts that I could use. Something to do with not backing out due to vibration. Maybe. I don't really see them in a lot of the steering wheel's the only other Mercedes electronics I've used. Miguel Oz, thank you so much for the partnerversary wishes. I wonder, yeah, why would they want extra track? It's so weird. Maybe there's another stock design that does other stuff. Cool. So basically, this and this and this and this for up and down. So up and down, and then left and right are this and this. So doot, 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 and doot. And those may all be on just one pin. And they just go through different resistors for each one. So 6190 or 0619, I think 619. 619 ohms, 220 ohms. Remember the zero indicates 0 zeros. Or, you know, you could do a math equation with it, but I don't like that. It's the same thing as multiplying by the, yeah, anyway. 1301, so 1300, so 1.3K, and then 3601, so 360, or 3.6K. So we have increasing, what's up, Madamew, how's it going? Madamew does not have the wish, oh bother, a happy partnerversary button. Ha 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 ha! We've stolen that from YouTube. Those YouTubers don't get to say happy partner anniversary, oh bother. Well, because, you know, I'm not partnered on YouTube. YouTube doesn't give me anything because I have like 3 viewers. 3 viewers is like an indictment. 3 viewers is like, Jesus Christ, what are you doing over there to not have viewers? Oh, I forgot to bring you guys up with the frames here. Sorry. So yeah, we're taking apart the stock of a Mercedes-Benz. This is the steering adjustment stock. It's that third stock that I guess is sort of a de facto standard in automotive, is that third stock helps you adjust the positioning of your steering wheel. And so we've got 2 axes on it. We have an up, down, and a right and left. And then we also have a 2-position switch as well as an LED. Clearly, this is the common pin, so we can test on that and see what the other pins are doing. But then 4 of the 5, these 4, so you have one common and 1, 2, 3 go up to the end where there is nothing but a little back and forth and an LED. So what is going on with that one, I wonder? Doo-doo-doo-doo. Oh, it's got a little spring on the end. Ooh, a little springy spring. That's neat. That's what gives it its heavy feeling to switch back and forth. So 4 wires go up the gimbal, 4 wires down here. One of them is ground. We have 3 wires to do 1, 2, and then 3. So maybe it's just activate, LED on, off. Maybe YouTube streaming works only if you also do regular short form 20-minute videos. Yeah, maybe I do. Probably need to like cut some stuff and make some shorter videos. When I'm further along, I know that a lot of creators could make a whole lot of a presence on YouTube building something like this, right? All this stuff that we're doing today, I think I can probably put it into like a summary video. Really, to be honest, like the previous steering wheel effort, I probably should have made like a custom edited video for. This one is totally changing up a couple of the facets of it, and I've lost almost all of the video working on it up until a couple streams ago. So maybe I'll use that footage and we can start piecing together some videos on this stuff. I'll have to get editing software. I think I'll deal like a Vegas or something like that, or a DaVinci. I don't know. I'll find some editing software in a toilet somewhere and maybe start putting stuff together at some point. When am I going to find time for that? I don't know. But certainly have a bunch of other stuff to do. Anywho, so we got 4 wires that are going up the stalk. One of them is a common ground for everybody. Where does that sit? That goes like this. And the 5th wire is just hanging out. So we can get the multimeter and we can see if we can find that LED. Let's see if we can find the LED wire. So we've got 5 pins. Let me mark those down. And oh, my probes are buried. Hold on. My probe is so many cables and wires. Holy shit. Hold on. I did a big lab cleanup, which required like a lot of vacuuming. And so I got the vacuum plugged in and everything. Cutting aluminum is very annoying. And so what I've actually done is I went to Send, Cut, Send. I went to Send, Cut, Send, and I got brackets made. I used Fusion 360. I opened it up. I made a little design here for a bracket that I would need at a particular angle. I 3D printed the brackets, and actually this isn't the right bracket, this is the other one, but I 3D printed the brackets and put them on the system where they will most definitely fail when I hit the brake button. And instead of actually filling my shop with chips, because it is perfectly reasonable for me to get a big 6mm slice of aluminum for like $30 and spend an entire afternoon on the mill, I could make something that resembles the part that I designed, but when it's just going to be cut out of like a flat piece of metal and that's all I really need, I decided to give Send, Cut, Send a chance. The chance that I gave them was with this. All I did was find the sketch that represents it, and I went to Export DXF, and then I unchecked all of these boxes. I don't need points, I don't need projected geometry, and I don't need constructions. And I output that with millimeter settings, put it into their online tool, and it turns out it's about $10 a bracket in 6mm of expensive aluminum. So $10 a bracket, that's after it's shipped. So it was about $40-ish for the entire order shipped. And apparently they've got a couple places in the US that they do this from. So for me, I didn't have to, pay tariffs. I spit the word. But anyway, so $40 and they get here today. I sent it on the 2nd. So that's actually pretty good. And that'll finish up our superstructure for the steering wheel setup. So it'll be, the brake pedals will be in the right spot. I will have 2 posts that come up and meet the steering with 2 posts that come out to the edges. So that's a big box and it's all triangulated on itself. And so when I hit that brake pedal, the whole system will be able to fight against me. And it'll hopefully be pretty strong. I mean, people are like, you could put wheels on that. And yeah, I could put wheels on this and make it into a vehicle. That I could do. But this frame rail is just so big. I would not want this on a vehicle. I could use this to, frame everything out and then use sheet metal and start welding it together to make a strong superstructure on this thing. But for us, like, this is hugely overkill on like an actual vehicle. On a setup like this, though, it'll keep things in the right spots. And it was also the cheapest size in this sort of size that I could get. I could do 30-30, but I think that would cause a lot more problems with adapters and stuff. All right, so the multimeter. When we're reverse engineering something, I often use the multimeter in order to figure out whether or not there's what's called continuity between 2 points. So 2 points have continuity. That means they have a certain amount of conductivity between them. That means they have a certain amount of resistance. I do not use the beep setting. The beep setting on the multimeter is specifically for like testing diodes and people use it for continuity because you don't have to look at the meter when you do it. This one actually does give you a number of ohms when it does the continuity. And on a diode test, I guess it can tell you whether or not your diode is dead. I would much rather go to the ohm setting. The reason I do that is because you will know when you're on the other side of a 10K ohm resistor. If your circuit is a little bit less known to you and you're probing around for what's going on, this will tell you that you're close. It'll also tell you if you're connected to like a ground thing that's far away. And there's just so much more information from looking at the number of ohms on the screen than having a beep. I also have a physical aversion to beeps. I hate it. I've had diabetes for 30 years, 31 years of diabetes, right? More than that. No, I think it's like 30, 29 to 30. I've had diabetes for a long time, and throughout my history, anything that beeps is important, and I need to look at it. So if my glucometer beeps, if my insulin pump beeps, if it beeps, I have to pay attention to it. And so my horror when I went into reverse engineering IEDs and everybody was using these fucking things with the beepers on, we had to put out a note of like, hey, you guys got to stop using the beeper. It's way too annoying to cohabitate the office. So I'm trying to figure out what's on the end of this thing. I know there's a common ground. The reason I know there's a common ground is we looked at it on the microscope and we saw that the pin had little thermal traces coming off of it, right? Yeah, maybe you don't want to turn your head, but it's still totally reasonable to just turn your head. So wait, is the common pin not the one that we're connected to? Hold on a second. Why would that be? If this thing is plugged in, well, we don't really know which ones we're plugged into. Because, yeah, this can fit either way in it. There's a keyway on this, but I don't think they use the keyway. Keyway's there to keep you from plugging things in backwards. No real keyways on this socket. And why they used this type of socket is beyond me. I mean, I guess it does a good job of strain relieving the wires, which will be moving just ever so slightly in here. I guess they just wanted something that was easy to punch in and, you know, wire up. So some of these will make no connections, and I think one of them will connect to all of the four extremity, or no, one of them will connect to the two wipers here. Let's just see which one that is. Because, yeah, there's our common ground. And just test that. Oh, this connects to ground. Oh. Yeah, 9 ohms. Probably 9 ohms over here. I don't want to scratch this up too much, because that could... Yeah, see, I already scratched it a little bit. This is like a carbon stuff that's supposed to be wiped on by the components. Yeah, so nothing over there. This ground goes to both of these, so we'll mark that down. Draw out my 5 pins. Yeah, those are pads. There's forks that wipe over them. There's wipers. These guys wipe over them when you go up, down, right, and left. So this little piece of mechanical engineering is something that translates your up and down into a slide, and then your back and forth is the other slide here. That's what this does. And then this shape is so that the spring like nub on the end of the stock has like a click over that it does. It goes thud, thud into these ramps that'll then put it back into the center position. It's a little piece of mechanical engineering here. It's kind of cool. And then it interfaces with this, and it looks like this is probably doing many more jobs in other cars because there are extra wipers on both of the stocks. Very strange. I would assume that they would just swap out this circuit board for ones that have other features. So we've got a common ground. So on the pinout, what direction is this facing? I don't know if there's a keyway on this. Yeah, Mercedes. There's no keyway. Okay, okay, cool, cool, very cool. Very cool, very cool. Very, very, very neat, very unique, very cool, thank you. Okay, so we'll do... Oh, there's like little screw holes on the sides. Or just... Are they just... Yeah, they just kind of straighten it on there. Interesting. Okay, so this goes this way. And so... Schwaz. Now they schwars. Think about direction, wonder why you haven't... Okay, bottom pin on this connector, so... Draw that connector. That bottom pin, I have nothing to go on, so that would be, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll number it from top to bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 is ground. Actually, I'm going to mark that down. Can you guys keep up? I don't think normal PCB manufacturers can do those black pads. They must be a special company. I mean, yeah, it's Mercedes-Benz made this thing. So they're obviously going through super duper OEMs to do this. I mean, you see these on controllers a lot too, like game controllers. Oftentimes they'll be resistive. These are just straight up pads. So now we get to find where these things all go to. And I would assume that since there are multiple different resistors that we are connecting to ground, this is going to equal this. Indeed it does. 4.2K, 8.4K. So these go through a resistor to the same thing. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 1 And so that same thing is at this pin. No. Is it this pin? Looks like it might be. 0.6K? And these, I think these four don't do anything. So they all go here. Why is it 600? Oh, it's going through the resistor to get there, 620 ohms. That one, but that one's ground. Unless this pad is a different kind of common pad, which I think may be what's going on here. If this is ground and it's going through the 620K, and then this one would be a different resistance. Yeah, 220 ohms. So, okay, so that first pin is our common. So we got pin 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then pin 1 goes through 4 resistors. And let's see, we got what direction is what. So over here, we now have different directions. Wonder why you haven't now. Stand. Now they schwez. So what is my motivation here? So we've got this thing wiping away, and then we have our stalk that comes off of this thing in, I believe, this direction. So up and down do that. Forwards and backwards do the larger one. Up and down is on the 3 wiper one, so that's this. And what direction is what? So if I move the stalk up, we come to the close one. The bottom one. So this is up, down. So up is how many ohms? $620K? What? Wait, why is it 620K? Oh, 0.620K. Oh, so what is that? 0.6, so 620 ohms. Why is it telling me 0.6K? What is up with my meter? Weird. So up 620. And then down is the far one, or the close one. Down here, that is 220. And which direction up and down is, I'm not totally sure about yet. Down 220. All right, and then left and right, that would be, or forwards and backwards. Forwards would be the bottom position here. So this is forwards and this one's backwards for the wheel. So forwards here. Or no, it's the opposite because the stalk runs in the opposite direction because it pivots. That's right. So, oops. Forwards is 3.5. 3.6K. 3.6K. And then back. I'll have to figure out which one's which when I have this all hooked up, is 1.3K. Let's wait, what's the 1.3 something? No, it's about 1.3K. Okay. B 1.3K. Okay, it's weird that they're putting them all on one thing. I would think that you would be able to hit multiple at the same time, but I think maybe they just lock you out of that. What's up, Wayne Johnson? And then that's like a switch to ground. 1, 2, 3. And then switched there. Switched there. Probably could do like dotted lines on that. Or like give it one of these arrows or something. And those are to ground. That's how that works. It's weird though. Hold on a minute. See, that has little thermal pads on it branching it out. Does this one? That one does. There's, I think, a top common and a bottom common, it seems. Or maybe this one is common just because... Yeah, I guess that's its own... That's very strange. Okay, well, anyway, so that's the identity of the stock controls. Now we have the cool part, which is the little thingy-wingy on the end, as well as the LED that's in the stock. So the stock has a little LED in it. And the cool part is, if you do the LED, the diode tester, the beep tester, not the beep, the diode, little diode symbol on this, what this will do is it'll try to find the forward voltage of a diode. When you find the forward voltage of an LED, it emits light. And so if you've got a bin full of clear LEDs and you don't know the identity of your LEDs, if you can get to the pins directly, if you can get right to the LED's leads itself, you can not only know the forward voltage drop of the diode, but you can also know its continuity and its color as well. And that'll all be powered by your little 9-volt multimeter. You guys saw it flash. I don't need to do that display again. Oh no, the the resistor broke off. Oh man, I feel like I gotta make these. It's these cheap ass resistors that you get everywhere now. Gone are the days of those big lead Radio Shack resistors that are like, they have like a significant little piece of metal coming off of it. No, now we get these thin 1% resistors that are just hateful. They're bad. They should feel bad. So I forget how this was plugged in. This thing was in its plastic here. That's one of the things about reverse engineering that you really need to note down, because there's 4 pins on this thing that I don't know what they do. Oh, okay, I actually do. Yeah, look at this. Check this out. Stops streaming. Walks over to the computer, sits down, drinks a glass of water. Check this out. Walks away. So yeah, these are the 4 pins. That's what that cutout was. It's not a keyway. It is it's using the lower 4. So good. Okay, so now we know these lower 4 are the ones that are getting used, and this might be ground. What's the orientation of this thing when it sits like this? Pin 1 is actually what? Pin 1. Oh, do these have any numbers on them? 2. The pin 2? No. Why is there a number 2 next to the first pin? What the fuck? What? Who made this part? Yeah, who made part number 57446? Why did they do it like this? What is their problem with all the rest of us? I'll put the 2 on there and maybe we'll renumber these. Reality's touch. I said maybe. Touch, taste by the sense of smell. Okay, so in that case, pin 5 is the one that goes to all of these. And then pin... Let's just cross these out. No. So 5... Or no, it's still... Yeah. Well, okay, so I gotta resolve this. Hold on. It's part of the thermostat. What? What? 57464. I noticed that they don't use solder. They use like an expanding pin. No solder needed. Cool. That's so weird. Okay, so here's what I need to figure out is we've got one pin here that connects to a giant plane that doesn't actually, that only goes there. Wow. Okay, so it's these front two that are connecting it to this board. This board connects it to the two wipers. So I thought that was ground, but it turns out this pin fans out to all the pins here, and it connects to the other end of all of these. So these four are together somehow. I don't know if that's continuity there. It just looks a little weird. They look isolated. Maybe they're connected to the center. That's a very strange way to do things, Mercedes. But anyway, so this pin connects to all four of these. And that one is our new pin, pin 5. So this indeed goes 5, 4, 3, 2, and then this is pin 1 that I'm assigning the ground, but in fact, if I really want to represent what's here, it's like this. So we've got pin 5 going to all of these resistors, 2 switches for up, down, front, and back, and those connect to pin 1. Yeah, I did. Listen, I need to start over. I'm better with MS Paint. MS Paint is so much easier. I never got too into art. I wasn't great at it. I was okay at it. I was better at conceptual art, coming up with something like having a board on my wall that's automated laser etcher to burn the names of Twitch subscribers onto itself. That's the art that I bring to the table. Bill would be proud. Bill is the uncle that neither of us ever know, because we have boomer parents. We have like 17 uncles. No, it's a couple uncles. But the Uncle Bill, before I was even born, I think he got cancer and died. So we've only ever heard of him before. And he was an artist. He did a lot of a lot of the work that we see is of his oil paintings, because they were the thing that lasted the longest of his art. And so we have an oil painting upstairs that he's done, and it's a pretty cool one. There's one with like a typical New England just like counter, and it's swirling into like oblivion. It's kind of cool. But yeah, that was the artistic uncle of ours. It's in my genes. I got art in my genes. I put a little picture of a little smiley face, and I put it in my pants. I got to give you guys the full context, because he comes in here and he's going to reference something that only my last name would know. My last name, but plural, would know. Okay, so we've got an LED as part of this. So what we can do is we can use. He sounded like a hippie from what my parents say. You see, they wouldn't talk about that facet of him around us. We weren't allowed to know that he was a hippie, that he wanted to just go off and live in the woods. And then I went to Burning Man. All right, so 2 of these are going to be the up and down, and then the other 2 are going to be, I'm going to guess that they're going to just be switches, because it's 4 pins, and we've got an LED and 2 directions. So this would be 2 pins. This is the 3rd, and the 4th might be a common for these systems, maybe. Or, well, I don't see how 2 pins could work out for the up and the down, because we've got 3 controls in here, right? So I'm going to guess that this is common, and I'm going to check to see if we get LED continuity on any of these. Okay, so that one's not common. or I've got the voltage backwards. Check it the other direction. Nope. Oh, 1.7, but I can't see the LED because this thing is weird. Here, no LED. No LED. LED. Hello. I'm looking at the very end of the stalk, and I'm looking to see if we get a little red LED. Yep, there it is. Ah, that's cool. Check it. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Check this shit. Check this shit. This is fucking cool. Where is it? 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 Shit. Fuck. Oh, I can't. Sorry. You didn't hear that. You didn't hear that, little kids. Little kids on YouTube who have their laptops in front of them. Tell your mother I say hello. Look at that. Beep, beep. We got a little Morse code going on. I don't know what I'm saying in Morse code. What kind of mythical unicorn did you find on that BMW? This is Mercedes stock. This is Mercedes-Benz right here. This is other German engineering. But yeah, so there's the LED. It's the middle one, and it goes to the common, which is all the way down here, and that is apparently pin, what we would say is pin 1. So I'm actually going to make that a ground, because now on pin 3, we got a red LED and the forward voltage drop, just so we can figure out what the resistor is later. If an apocalypse ever happens, you'll definitely be chosen for the bunker with your skills. You know, it's interesting how specific the skills can get, but I don't know. 1.7 volts, it's pretty common. 1.7 volts, 1.7 volt drop. So that's going to be a typical like 330 ohm resistor on that thing. Yeah, it's funny how specialized these skills are. It's like I'm really good at keeping electronics going. I guess that would be very useful for a bunker. But I don't know. Engineers tend to think they're good at everything, and sometimes they're supposed to be. And anyway, so this is the steering wheel adjustment stock for a Mercedes-Benz. I don't know what year. I went on eBay and I said, oh, these things are only 20 bucks, buy. And so this thing came in the mail, and now I can reverse engineer it and figure out how we can get this thing talking to a microcontroller. But car companies are averse to using anything more than the absolute minimum number of wires. And so the scheme that they'd come up with to do this, and especially as we found in the mythical but existing, this thing is real. It's real. It's right here. I'm holding it in my hands. This is not any kind of weird trickery or magic. In the indicator stock and in the windshield wiper stock, what they'll do is they will put the functions of multiple things. Like the wiper speed is a bunch of different positions that are fixed. What this does is it actually completes continuity to a bunch of different resistors. And that way, if you've got voltage going into common or whatever, it can give you different voltages on the line that you will then sense. We need to come up with some way that we can use digital pins to sense that, because having multiple analog sensing lines is not really going to be all that kosher. Then again, if I were to do something with this, I could put all of this on one analog pin on a mux, and the mux could flip between the different inputs in order to give the voltage levels back out. Nice green screen effect you've got there. Look, I know AI has gotten very advanced, but this does not look like Will Smith eating spaghetti. This is real. It's real. I'm actually holding it in my hand, and it's got a BMW logo on it, and it says R and L for right turn and left turn. It's real. I'm not playing with you. Okay, so that's that part. I'm going to guess that we get ground continuity on 3 and 4 for our 1 and our 0. So what I'm going to do is go to the common pin here, and then I'll go to one of these outliers. Part of why I'm doing this right now is not because I know how to do it or because I'm good at it. It's because I like teaching it to you guys. I'm teaching this to you guys. It is my one favor to you, that you know these things that I teach. I don't know what's going on here. That should have done something. Reality is touch. That song is stuck in my head. Okay, well, I kind of feel like I need probe leads for this, because I don't have 3 hands. So let me get some leads here. Let us grab some leads. Yeah, so what is it that O'Bother does when he doesn't have like a car project that he can work on? He works on a literal car project, an actual sim rig that built out of real car parts. That's what Bother does when he doesn't have a car project. I got this station wagon and it needs some welding in order to get it up to snuff, and I need to apply for antique plates and stuff. But yeah, my brother shows up and he goes, "Hey, do you want a seat?" I'm like, "Yeah," because he did the high mileage maintenance of his BMW that he bought from a coworker. Those high mileage maintenances will kill you. You will spend as much as you do on the used BMW to get it to its high mileage maintenance, and most of the used BMWs are for sale because they require the high mileage maintenance. So if you put an air bond under the seat, you'll get 007 seat. Oh, an ejector seat. I see what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Okay, so why male models? Oh, yeah, that's right. That's why male models. So green. So it's green wire. Green wire, and then the corresponding LED is red. Red wire. And then 4 and 2 are blue and yellow. Just getting all the information down so that we can make it in stuff. You do welding too? I've tried. I would very much like to learn how to weld. I should probably go to a welding class. I don't have space for the equipment to weld. And, you know, I'm only good at welding if I have a laser welder that a company needs to send me, laser welding company. Hey, you listening? You listening to me? Send me one of your laser welders because they're cool. Please. Okay, so that's the diode. Oh, we were in diode no wonder we didn't see anything happening. We were in diode mode. We gotta go back to resistor mode. Although it should have actually beeped. But now that I've got something that can permanently hook up to the line, I can observe. Instructions unclear, made another burn the subs. Yeah. Would it be to there? 1.6 mega ohm. That's just because it's a diode. So nothing. What if we go here? No. If I go to this one. Nope. Go to here. No. Go to, that's just the diode again. What the Why so many wires? Why so serious? From here to here. That would be the 2 wires that I'm looking for, blue and yellow. If we're across, I'm getting grease all over my hands doing this. Vertical or horizontal tabs for browser. People do different ones. I just use whatever the browser does. Just whatever you want, man. Just don't wanna rock the boat. So interestingly enough, I'm not finding any kind of ohms-based continuity, which doesn't make any sense. Which would mean something else is wrong with my setup. Hold on, let's go. Well, no, but when we had it in diode mode, we were conducting perfectly fine. So in diode mode, if I connect this properly, like so. No, that's the wrong way. Actually, that should be the right way. Oh yeah. Yeah, see, this lights up. Although we aren't getting the 1.7 volt drop that we expected. Oh, because we're in beeper mode. There we go. 1.7. So we know that the system works, right? So we go back to ohms. And if I keep my common pin and I go to this one, we get nothing. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. I should see something. A coworker did vertical and that feels very wrong, but she has to do what she wanted to do. I mean, yeah, I don't really see why you would do vertical tabs, but people's people crazy. Okay. 12 ohms, 1.5K. This does it too. This does it too. So that's going to one wire. What is the last wire? What would that be? There's no other controls on this. There's no other reason to have that wire there. This one is the yellow wire. So the yellow is 2 resistors. And one of them is 1 and the other is 0. So 1 is 7 ohms, 8 ohms. And the other one's 1.5K. It's 0. We'll have to put that a little better in a drawing. That's 3-position switch. And then wiper in the middle, going to ground. There we go. So that's one wire for both of these directions. The LED is on another wire. And then there's a common wire. What is that last one doing? There's a blue wire that goes up into this thing that I don't know what it's doing. What would the blue wire possibly do? What if I moved my ground over to the blue wire? Yeah, we get nothing. So if I move my sensor wire to the blue wire, we get nothing on this. So it's not associated with that. What would that blue wire be doing? It goes up into the stalk. I don't think I can really get this thing off there. That doesn't push in or pull. I don't know why it would. Jeez, that came off really easily. I don't want to go too far into this. I don't want to break this thing, you know? I just got it. That's just the LED and the knob on top of it. I don't know how we'd get the rest of it off of here without breaking stuff. I'm not going to risk it for the biscuit. I don't think it's heated. I don't think it would be a heater. What else could it possibly be doing? You know, if it were part of the switch, you'd expect some other continuity on it. But we did go from the switch to the yellow. Unless there's another, is there another LED? Can this go green or something? No, I think it's just a red LED. You don't need more than a red LED on this thing. What if we go to ohms mode? So there's the red LED. If I go out to this one, does it turn green? No. No. There to here? Nope. It's like, that's definitely the red LED. That red LED is turning on. But if I try to go to another combo, why isn't that plugging in? Yeah, doesn't do anything. I mean, maybe if you had multiple LEDs on the stalk, it could do something, but right now it just seems to be indexing. Doesn't seem like anybody would be able to see that if it was mounted on the steering column. I mean, you can kind of look over at it. The stalk sits pretty flat, though. It would be hard to see why you would check the end of your steering column. I wonder how many people who own the car that this is from even know that that indicates that your steering wheel is being heated. We don't know what the LIN bus command is to turn on the wheel heater, so I don't think we have a wheel heater. It's possible that the steering wheel that I have does have a wheel heater in it, though. This is from a similar generation. I wasn't really looking too closely. I don't know what that blue wire does, and it goes into the stalk for some reason. I just am not getting anything on it. There's a blue wire here that's at the top of this thing. We know that the red wire is our LED. So from green to red, we have a 1.7 volt drop, and the end of the stalk lights up. From green to yellow, we see 680 ohms, or no, 80 ohms when I push this thing to the one direction. And we see 1.5 kilo ohms, 1.5 kilo ohms when I go back the other direction. The up, down, right, and left are handled by this thing here, and that will flip either of these two switches through the resistors on the circuit board. Why is there a blue wire that goes up this stalk and who knows where else? Because there's only up, down on this thing and an LED. Why would that exist? What does it do? Maybe it's just a nothing. Nope, doesn't push in. And when I tried to pull it out, I pulled it off. So that's not it. Sharper than a needle. That song is stuck in my head and it's never going away. It's never going away. It's this pin here. Goes to the blue wire. But we don't know what else. And so I've checked continuity to the other pins. We don't seem to have like a hidden LED thing. I would expect maybe if it was a dual color LED that would be the identity of it. But again, we are in diode mode and I go to the common ground and then I go to our unknown pin. We don't get anything. And if I move the ground over to the LED pin, sorry, is it? No, that's not that. Yeah, that's the LED pin. We don't get anything. If I do ground on that pin, on the extra pin, and then I go positive to the LED pin. Is it like, there's a vibration motor. Very odd to me that there would be an entire wire that's just unused. Nope, nothing. Not that odd for Congress. Yeah, I guess if there's some other feature that you don't have on the stock would be built exactly the same way, except maybe it would have an extra button on it somewhere. Yeah, it's that's the excuse for extra wires everywhere is that, you know, maybe it's an option you don't have. No, you were talking about Congress. Remember, this is a car part. This is not part of Congress. We didn't vote for this. Ha 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 ha. Anyway, yeah, so unknown feature, unknown or missing feature. It could be something that the stock would originally have done, but it doesn't do. Which is odd because I think even having like the wheel heat being activated by a little nubble on the end of your steering wheel adjustment stalk, I think that's weird. That's the weird one. Why would you have that? And then for somehow they came up with another thing that it does that we don't know. We may never know, unless we get some expert in Mercedes in my channel, but I don't think they watch my show. I don't think Mercedes experts are too into bother flooping around with electronics. All right, let's get this thing back together. I think we got everything that we need to get. We just have one weird mystery. Ah, there goes my... Maybe there's a simple timer circuit in there so the wheel heater turns itself off. I don't know. If they've got it controlled with a 1 and a 0 on the end of the stalk, that means they could just do that digitally. You don't need a wire for that. Sharper than a needle. That album is a lot of like real soulful, deep electronic music and a guy just screaming over top of it. Nonsense. Just nonsense. Nonsense over nonsense. I can't think of any reason why you would have that. extra thing. Oh, that's right, we got to do this first. Do 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 do. Such a cool album. All right, let's get this back together now that we know what all the pins do. And then we get to figure out how the hell we're gonna, well, we can look at the other stalks first and see if we can get a pin out from those. It's just it's a weird mystery. You find these weird mysteries all over the place, and especially when you're reverse engineering stuff like this. It's like, why would they do something this way? And man, I don't know. These stick out from the bottom. I wonder if they're supposed to be backed off so they don't stick out. The screws? No, it looks like they cut that so that it doesn't interfere. I'm just wondering why this one broke the outer plastic. Strange. So just a sanity check here. Like that. This into there, and then that goes through that way so that the bottom pin, which is our common, yeah, okay, cool. And then you got the big number 2 marking on the connector itself. That'll help us when we're in a bind. No, it'll just help me find where the pins are. It's a non-keyed connector too, so you can plug it in backwards. I guess they expect Mercedes mechanics to be built of a different cloth. Somehow knowing, I would assume that the wiring harness like can't be flipped around and plugged in backwards by accident. Maybe that's what, no, because there's not, everything's weird. Let's put this back together. Let's get this back together before I have too much of a thought and my brain short circuits. Come on. There we go. And the 3 screws. That'll get us back in. Which, wait a minute. Oh, there. And then the other one's on the desk. There it is. What, I mean, do other people that have Mercedes may be able to identify. Maybe they put a, the only thing I can come up with, the only thing that really makes sense in my head, other than having another button on there, because if you had another button on there, why would you not just have like a third resistor, right? Instead, what I could come up with is maybe they put a bicolor LED in there, so this can go green. I don't know why it would go green. Because again, you're not exactly looking at the end of these stalks. It's a very strange place to put an indicator, I'll tell you that much. But I guess it's a definitive seat heat indicator. Ah, that wasn't even a just, I expected there to be plastic there. Ooh, that's a wrist breaker. That went in a little bit too rough. Oh, because we're on a wire. Hold on a minute. Hold on. Crushing the wires. It's not the way it's supposed to go. Wasn't supposed to go down like this. God, why is that one so hard to screw in? Jeez. Usually what you do with these, because they don't thread these at the factory, what they'll do is they'll do the injection molded plastic, and then these screws will bite into that smooth bore in order to, you know, get a grip on stuff. Oh, maybe because, are these different lengths? No, they're the same length. So what they'll do at the you know, they'll make the part, it won't have any kind of a threading inside of it, and then the screw will be designed to either force the threading into it or cut the threading. They'll have screws with a little cut in the front that acts as sort of a makeshift tap. There we go, that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, this yellow wire came out completely and then got crushed. Why did you do this to me, yellow wire? Why would you do this? What the hell? Okay, hold on. This is where the pin tool comes in handy. Grabbing wires and sorting them out. Or not. What is going on here? I can't see what I'm doing. I don't have enough light. Hold on. Back in here. See this thing, like as I was putting it together, I guess it came out and it's got this little like thing that it has to sort of route into. This little cutout in the gimbal. Maybe the steering wheel adjustment stalk is heated and that blue wire is just a heater wire. This thing is fighting me at every turn, and it's getting annoying. Oh, because it doesn't even go in that one. It goes in this one. I see. That's why it was so weird. I gotcha. There we go. Okay, now everybody's seated again. And I got to make sure it stays together when I put it into this, which is what the problem was last time. Yeah, see, it gets, if I push it in a lot, it gets shortened, and then it'll pop out. And then this one will pop out, and then the other one will pop... Damn it! How do they design this thing like this? Why did you build it like this, Mercedes? What have you done to me? There we go. And we are seated. I believe we are. Looks like it. As best I can get it. There you go. Whew. All right, now we're back together. If you're brave enough, anything can be a heater. That is true. I have lived that reality multiple times. What could that wire be doing? Have like a temperature sensor there? No, that's silly. That's all I can come up with. I think it's for a multicolor LED. I think maybe at some point they decided, wait a minute, we don't need a bicolor LED in this thing. People can't even see the end of that stalk. It's all the way over there. Okay. Because, yeah, this sits on the column straight at you, and you can kind of see the end of the lever. So up, down, forwards, backwards, on, off, and then the LED on the end. And we will eventually plug that into a microcontroller and get it to tell us where it's being set to. I was going to maybe do that today, or we can look at these other stalks in the meantime and get a pinout on those, which I think I would like to do. But if I, for instance, get these here, and we do 2 wires with completely different coloring so that we can tell them apart, and I do ground here, positive on the white wire. So what I'm going to do is verify all of my hookups. So ground will go to this common pin, pin 1 of this entire thing. So according to my notes, the 2 marking is somewhere around here. And we actually can't see that marking because these pins go through a different piece of plastic. That's very helpful, very helpful. So if I go to my notes and I go down to pin 1, down here, pin 1 is ground. Pin 1, hook it up to ground. And then if I go to the last pin, the very top pin, I get nothing. Good day to you, sir. But if I move the stalk up is 220 ohms. So that's backwards. Up, down. Up's 220. Down is then 620. Forward should be 5.6. Oh, but it's 3.6. Did I write? Oh, that is a 3. It's not a 5. 3.6. And then this is 1.3K. That's how we can tell on one wire which one it is. Now we wouldn't have like a Wheatstone bridge and sense the resistance on the line. Instead, we use these resistors in conjunction with a voltage divider. So they got a common pin that they're connected to, and so we would put a resistor here that would go up to positive voltage. And so as you get different resistors on your resistor divider, it would divide less or more and give you a different voltage level. So we'd have our standing voltage level, which this would be like 5 volts, and then this one would be just a tiny bit below that 5 volts. Or no, this would actually be very low voltage because there's a small amount of resistance. Larger the resistor gets, the closer back to 5 volts we get. So this would be closest to 5 volts. That would be furthest, or furthest would be the lowest resistance. That would be closer to 0. That's how that line works. The next line is connected to pin 4, which is the blue wire. We don't know what it does. We don't know. It goes all the way to the end of this thing. We don't know what it does. It's not a thermometer. It's not a variable resistor. Light dependent resistor? No, it's not any kind of resistance. There's nothing going on. So then we move these keep slipping and they're pissing me off. Okay. So then we move our probe to the next wire, and that is not going to show us anything until we go to diode mode, in which case it should light up. Oh, that's right. I mixed up my wires. Sorry. We go to the next one, which is the mysterious blue wire. We don't see anything on the LED. We don't see farads. Is it a touch sensor? No. Go to ohms. We don't see anything change on ohms, no matter what I do with this thing. Strange, right? The larger the resistance, the higher of resistor would be closer to V input. So we have a common ground. The reason that I'm calling this common ground is because of the LED. The LED's ground, its cathode, its negative lead, is connected to the LED lead. So I'm calling the negative lead of the resistor common ground, right? So there's the LED lighting up. That means that the pin that is connected to everybody else is a ground pin. And so I'm assuming that our resistor divider is going to ground. So if we have the resistor divider ladder going to ground, then the other end of it goes to positive power. And so you would have a fixed amount of resistance to positive power, and then the variable resistance is going to ground. So as you have a stronger resistor to ground, you have a weaker resistor to ground that gets you closer to ground. So if I had that in the opposite way, then I was saying it wrong before. And this is the proper way. The smaller the resistor is going to ground, the closer your voltage level is going to be to ground. That's what I meant to say. If I said it the wrong way around, then I'm sorry. But I've said it the right way around now. So when nothing is going on, you have an infinite amount of resistance to ground. And so you get your voltage through that big resistor. When you put a small resistor on there, there is less resistance to ground. It's going to pull that down through that weak resistor. You said it the same way. I just wasn't wrapping my head around that. Yeah, you got to kind of like think on your brain pan. It's things are weird and different. Okay, so this one is the on and off. So for 0, we get 1.5K. I'll just double check, 1.5K 0. And then 6.5 ohms for on, and then we sit in neutral. So that one pin, the blue wire, is a complete unknown. I don't know what it is. This has been a TED Talk from a Bother University. No. This is like normal stuff. I can relate. I can relate very much. So that's why I'm hooking the ground wire on and sensing what's on the blue pin. Because I would expect something to share a 0 volt potential. I would expect that control would do something here, but it just doesn't. Like cover it over. Does a light sensor for your backlighting? Those are usually on the headlight panel itself. I do not know. It's very weird. It's unfathomable. Because we've got one lead for the LED. One lead for 1 and 0. This doesn't move like horizontally. It doesn't push like a button. We just have a mystery lead. And the weird part about mystery lead is that it goes to a blue wire that goes all the way up the stalk. To what end? A heater. I would think it would be a hater. Those are probably my brackets getting here. From Send Cut Send. Hey, Send Cut Send. Why don't you guys shoot me an email? I would love a Send Cut Send. Actually, I'm not getting that many metal plates built. Although, hold up all these stalks with a pretty beefy metal plate. It's the self-destruct. What do I hit it with my brain? That's what there's a control. I don't know. I don't care what it does. Because in the end, what'll happen with this is we'll figure out a way that a microcontroller can read all these fancy schmancy pins. And I do want to hook it all up to just one microcontroller. And that one microcontroller, I will also have speaking LIN bus. So the wheel and everything surrounding the wheel will all be on its own thing. That will speak LIN bus. That'll send and receive LIN bus commands. Thank you, NPS Stewart. I haven't seen your name around for a while. And then it'll also communicate on CAN bus to our controller that will then divvy out whatever the controls are, right? So I could make, this doesn't have to control the steering wheel. I could make this do whatever I want it to do. But yeah, anyway, regardless, irregardless, that word, regardless of function, there is an extra wire that goes up this stalk and I don't know what it does. Maybe in a different Mercedes model, it'll be a different feature. Let me just do a quick little Google images on that. Yeah, this is pretty much the one I got. E-Class. That's a taller nubile on the end there. It's a slightly different, some stuff in there is a little different. Different nubile. Oh, and it's much smaller. Huh. Well, I guess they improved their electronics a bit. I like the one I got. I think we got a good one. 22 bucks. Yeah. What, is that expensive or cheap? I think 20 bucks for something like this is fine. That's what I paid. Like, what else could it do? Maybe it like pushes in or something. I can't think of what else that... Oh, that one has a connector as part of the design. Huh. Yeah, we don't have that. Ours has its own connector. Expensive for a piece of plastic? It's not just a piece of plastic. It's metal and stuff. That looks familiar. That looks like the wheel I have. GLC class. How to raise and lower the height of the steering wheel. Wow, what a great tutorial. Does that one do anything new? Oh, it's like a totally different piece of equipment. The wheel looks exactly like my wheel, though. Oh, it's a YouTube video. Wait, stop. Don't transfer data from YouTube. Don't do it. Okay, so that's actually the stalk. It's all the way over there. But then there's a cruise control stalk below it. What? Oh my God, how many levers? Oh, it's like a tiny little thing. Oh my God, look at it go. Incredible. This amount of technology. Does it have the spinny thing on the end? Okay, never mind. Yeah, look at all that stuff. It's like operating like a steam engine. The Mercedes steering wheel tilt. That looks a lot more compact than mine. Huh. We had to crash ours to make it smaller. I'm just looking at a couple pictures of the stalks. I'm trying to see if there's like a feature that I maybe don't know about. Hey, it's my steering wheel again. Something I'm missing. That blue wire is just a mystery to me, and I guess we're not going to need it. I don't need pedals. Yeah, you just use the steering wheel controls for everything. I gotta hit the parking brake. Okay, well, this is known. We now know everything we need to know about this. We'll transfer that to an MS Paint drawing later. That's that stock. These we have already taken apart, but I will do it again. I would like to use these with the rest of this setup. I think they're cute. So, yeah, let's just get to the bottom of this and see what makes it tick. It looks like the whole thing here is snaps together. I don't remember that part. Oh, no, there's two fasteners right on the front. Yeah, I'll do that. This is, steering adjust stalk. I could even have that LED do other stuff. It could do weird things for me. It could do weird indicaty things. Although it's it's not really designed to be used in conjunction with the BMW levers, so there might be some conflicts here. Let's like move that up a little bit, but this where it sits, you can kind of see this part of it because it'll sit like this, right? So you're parallel to this, so it sits coming forward just a little bit. I may have to reposition it down a little bit just so that it's out of the way of the BMW indicator signal, which exists and it's in a convenient place. It's in a spot where you can get to it very easily. So in order to get this thing apart, there's a big snap lever here and there's two fasteners. So let's get these out of the way. Oh yeah, and let's take that, put that in our notes. A little later I'll have to make it digital just because it'll be easier if it's sitting in the folder with all the other pinouts when it gets time to actually do something with all these parts, which it will. We still also need to prove out my scheme, the Raspberry Pi scheme, to see if it'll actually be fast enough for us to control in-game stuff with all the buttons and stuff that I have on the simulator setup. That's my big concern, is that it's just not going to be fast enough in routing those signals around, and I'll have to do something with the microcontroller. With the microcontroller, it'll obviously be super duper fast, right? A microcontroller handling its I/O and routing things is perfectly fine. It'll do that in, you know, with ease. I want the Java flows and the Node-RED so that I can pull up an interface, you know, go to the local internet site. It'll pull up an interface and I just have to go boop, 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 like just draw wires. Cool mechanism, bro. Look at this. So over here, we have this floating spring that can be tweaked back and forth pretty loosely. And it's got slots in it and stuff. And that interfaces with, basically it sticks in through here and it interfaces with this thing. So when I go and I turn, hold on, let's see if I can do this without exploding. Please don't explode. I guess what happens is this pushes out the little lever. This pulls it back. It'll push out due to this stuff. And then I guess something in here is what pops it back to the center position. Oh yeah, if I push down on it, okay. Huh. Fascinating. Very weird. So all the way down there, there's a circuit board, and I can already see 3 contacts on it. And there's one of the screws that holds it on. And there's another one of that same type of plug. It's that little vampire style plug. So on the stalk, we have one button, and this can go 4 different directions in order to flip buttons and stuff. So let's see if we can get this out of here. Hopefully it's not an infernal spring puzzle. No, I don't. I could buy that. I could buy the clock spring that holds all this stuff together, because that's how they do it, at least in BMW and Mercedes. You'll have this clock spring, which is this piece here in the middle, and that holds on to all the stalks. But what we can do is we can just take a scan of the steering wheel and I can just make something out of plastic because I need to embed in it my slip ring, which is the way that we get our digital signal to the steering wheel. This goes 180 degrees because when the force feedback steering wheel is off, you do not have any virtual bump stops. And so the bump stops would be built into the clock spring. That's just a piece of plastic that the entire wheel, all the kinematics of the wheel would be butting up against. And that would more than likely easily break. And then the only thing stopping you is the flat cable that's inside of the clock spring being overstretched. Please don't blow up. Please don't blow up. No spring puzzle, no spring puzzle. What is that supposed to... Oh boy. I really want this to go back together when we're done with it. Okay, so just big boy spring goes into the back, and then the 2-pin plug comes from up here. The hell? Oh. That's your flashing and your... Yeah, look at that. It's got a whole lever, and that actuates above. So that up there is moved into position on that track. But there's only 2 of those, so I guess it's held in between the 2 positions, and it either moves forwards or backwards, going to the right or left pad. And then those 3 are connected to... I don't see any wipers on this. Oh, this moves this way. I see. So right and left are on that. All right, well, let's get this out of here, and let's take a look at the circuit board, and maybe we can just straight up reverse engineer it. Yeah, so I'm gonna be 3D printing something that holds all that stuff together. And I think I want it to look a little bit more exposed than what's in a typical car, right? It kind of loses, the whole setup kind of loses a little bit of magic if I allow it to be too much like a car. It needs to be car parts that feel like you're driving a car, but you look at it and you go, oh wow, that's the part from a car, but it's been like completely eviscerated and there's all kinds of weird stuff going on here. It can't just be normal. Why won't you be normal, bother? I feel like I do have a pinout for these somewhere, but I'm just going to wing it. This maybe comes out this way. Yeah, it does. That's our lever. All this stuff is covered in like assembly grease, like electronics kind of grease. So same LK on the PCB. I wonder if the same company's making these things. Okay. Yeah, because these look very similar. They look very similar. They're different generations of car, but, you know, in Bavaria, they may not be shopping around too much because this looks very familiar. Very familiar. Although, you know, the technology behind a 3-pin fork that wipes on a circuit board, not that special. You ain't that special. It's not that special. Try to get the circuit board out so you guys can take a look at it. Maybe the pin tool will help me. The important part about what we're doing here is that this all goes back together, so I gotta be careful. I must exercise restraint and caution. That's not moving. Why isn't that moving? There's 2 pins that hold it, but I don't think they are expanded. No, they're not expandongs. Looks like I just have to overcome the 2 pins without bending everything. Yep, that's it. Yeah, I just have to pull up evenly because if I pull it in one direction, it'll bind and then break the pin off. Okay, so there's our PCB. This is where the magic happens. I swear these lines are connected. This is real. This is a BMW indicator stock, and it is a real thing that does exist. Just in time, just in time. That song is stuck in my head. Okay, so there's a, what is it, a bunch of pins in here. What is this thing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a 10-pin connector. 10-pin connector. And only certain pins on the 10-pin connector are connected. So let's draw that. Let's write that down. Let's see, there's small nubs, large nubs. And there's a nub on top here. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then of that 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so yeah, only those are populated. So then that's pin, oh, is this marked on here? Hold on. Nothing. What's the wetness on the PCB? I have that effect on things. No, it's some grease they put in there, probably just to keep all this stuff moving cleanly. It's like all the feel of these stalks is basically moving in and out of little indentations, because that's what those are. Those are all the little indentations that the spring pin moves in and out of. All this stuff is built similarly, and it uses similar technology, and the markings on the circuit boards are all very similar. I think we're looking at a joint operation here between LK and Mercedes and BMW. Would make sense. Samey, samey, samey. Okay, so from, oh, this is weird. Humph. Why is it going humph at me? Humph. Oh, it's chumph. Chumph. Or is it spiral? Weird. Okay, so from the company, So let's see what we got here. So pin number, I'm probably going to call that one 1, just because of the way I oriented the thing. We don't have any other indications of what pins are labeled what, so I drew this socket with the 2 big things, the 2 small things, and then this little nub here. So I'm probably calling this pin 1, unless there's some other conflicting marking. Sometimes they'll put in the plastic the pin numbers, and it's very useful. I'm looking to see what's this. There's something down there. It looks like there's a marking right here, but I don't think there is. It doesn't look like it. Okay, well, just because there's a mark there, I'm going to call this pin 1. So that means the pins we have are pin 1, 4, nothing on 5, 6, 8, and 10. 1, 4, 8, and 10. Let's figure out who's doing what. Now we can actually look at the traces on the board and figure out what the circuit is going to be here. U. So it looks like right and left, blinker, and the other one, what the? Reality is touch. That song's going to be in my head for a month or 2. That's fascinating. They're drilling holes in order to cut off certain pins. No, nothing for the center position. And then we have forward and backward. That one goes through one resistor here. And that one goes to the other resistor here. So 1 goes to the button on the stalk. And that's ground. So 10 is ground. I'm going to call it ground, even though it's not really a ground. It's just one side of all the switches. But this one appears to be routed to all of the appropriate parts of the circuit board. So we've got one that's sitting on this trace, one that's sitting on this trace, which goes to this line here. And that's pin 10 right there. So that's going to be our ground. That's weird. Look at the little bypass here that's been drilled through. Huh. The mouse is getting covered in grease. So it appears that our other three, number one is the stalk button. So what is that? BC? Huh. So number one goes to a switch, or a button rather. A button, we put this little like hat on to indicate that it is a button. Sometimes you'll see like a dotted line arrow like pointing downwards to mean that, like, if you have a switch that's drawn with like an arrow pointing downwards, that means it switches back to the other position. That's why I had kind of an arrow on the common ones for the other piece, but that goes there and then it goes to ground, right? So that's that. That's BC stalk. BC button. So then we have our right, left, headlights and thingy. Headlights and high beam flash. So it appears, and the values are written on the resistors too. So one, be 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is pin 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 is ground. This one goes to one stalk, the other one goes to the other. So what is this? It looks like you could reconfigure this so that everybody is on. Oh, you could really customize this. You could put all of this stuff onto one pin and have them just have different resistances, huh? Or you could have your ground over here, but it's completely cut off, even though it's mechanically still there. Weird. Very strange construction, but it's interesting because it probably does a lot of stuff. So anyway, this one is which one? That one, the one on the lever is out here. So this is the high beams and stuff. So high beams and stuff are on pin 4, and one is 301, so 300, 300 ohms, and 1, 2 with 2 zeros, so 1.2K. So 300 ohms and 1.2K on, okay, so how am I going to draw this? It's going to be the same three-way switches. So pin 4 is 4 goes to the resistors first, and those go to the switches. So we'll do this, and we'll do this, and this is a bemis, and 300 ohms and 1.2K into a switch which has 3 positions, with the center being off. I'm going to put an arrow on that, and then that's common to ground. And then pin 8 does the same thing, so I'm going to draw it ahead of time. This is getting worse. This is getting worse. To ground, and this one is R and L, and the two values are probably the same. Oops, probably the same. 300 and 1.2. Yep, 300 and 1.2. There we go. And that's it. The assembly is the reverse of disassembly, right? How the hell does this thing go back together? Okay, hold on. I gotta get this positioned right. What the fuck is this shit? I've never seen this before in my life. What the f... I'm glad these are all very simple. It makes reverse engineering them nice and easy. Hey, I got it right. Sweet. Okay, and then into that goes dish, which mysteriously has little openings above where all the pins are. I guess those stick up a little bit. And then our stalk is over here, where there are available 3 pins, but they've only used 2. Hey, 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 reality is touch. Just in time, just in time. That is just never leaving my head. I like Apollo 440. I don't know if anybody else likes them. I bought that CD on a whim. I think there was an Apollo 440 song in the laser show that introduced me to electronic music. So that was one of the first albums that I ever got. And it was like a perfect car ride album. Like if you're taking the bus to a swim meet, that's where I remember listening to it the most. The whole album is just really good. Okay, and then this has its giant pusher, and then the mount for the little stalk that moves up and down, the gray bar thing. And then this has to go in there. All at once. Oh, and then this also has to plug in here. Oh, God. How do you assemble this thing? Okay, so that looks like it slides. Okay, I got to show you this on the microscope here. Sorry. Only know one of their songs? Yeah, everybody only knows the one song. I know the whole discography. So this bar goes in here. This pin goes against the thing that gives us the feel of the whole lever. And then this down here needs to go on this pin. So I think that pin slides in. So I can do the spring bar like that. And then this will slide back into the bar. And then the rest of it will pop into the pin. If I'm even aligned on it. I can't see. There it goes. I think I just did it. So let's get the other part of this back together so we don't have to deal with this greasy mechanical nightmare. I've been called worse. How does this thing? It hits it just right, I guess. I don't know. All right, greasy mechanical nightmare. You go back together. Without issue. Oh, there we go. That just had to pop into place. So pop, pop. Perfect. Yeah, as long as the sliders work. Oh no, I forgot the circuit board screws. I forgot the screws that hold the circuit board in. Where'd my screwdriver go? Oh man, that was a real touch and go operation there. And it went back together just fine. Now it's not going to go back together fine once I get these screws in. And I have to remove this whole thing in order to do it. Okay, so push that in and up. There we go. That popped out on its own. Ah, I can't believe I forgot these. I have to disassemble the whole thing. Those don't have numbers on them? No. Yeah, sometimes they're nice and they give you like little numbers that you can use to locate things. I'm glad BMW is a little bit more respectful with their shared lines, and they didn't share 4 lines. They only have right, left, and the headlight function on separate wires. Mercedes would do something like putting them all together on one wire. So this whole device would have one wire coming from it. Then again, we also have the mysterious blue wire that we don't really know what it does. What's up, NASA? How's it going? Yeah, how's everybody doing here? This is my partner-versary, which is not a real holiday, I was told. Not an actual holiday, but it is kind of neat that Twitch is keeping track of stuff for me. Can you fit in like you did before and just work? Oh, I guess it did. Yep, that's working. Yeah, it looks like it works. I'm going to put the rest of this back together. Yeah, that has to fit in a certain way. There we go. And then this goes like that. Yeah, okay, cool. Ah, what a greasy thing this has been. I should get the Torx version of the Weir screwdrivers, but I don't know when I'd ever really use them, but I guess I'm using Torx heads right now. Torx is a vastly superior type of drive. It really should be implemented everywhere. It's just not. Huh, that doesn't feel right. I guess that's how it's supposed to function. Just feels a little tighter than it used to be. I guess that's all right. I thought that moved more. There could be something wrong with the stalk in there. I guess we'll know by the pinout. So let's test the pinout. We shall know by its pinout. Pins out. Okay, so oh no, don't use the wire that you can't identify because it's the same color as the other. This one's dark. Dark one for ground. Get this back on ohms. There's no LEDs inside of this thing because we're a less technologically advanced car. In this case, pin 10, which is all the way down here, is going to be our common. Should I get it right? Pin 10, and so if I go to pin 8, that's going to be our right and left indicator, because that's a real thing. So if we indicate right, we get 1.2. So it's actually the opposite of the way that I have it. Of course it is. .300 ohm L, so 300. Cool. That's all it is electrically. It's just a thing that wipes across and makes contact with a pad on a PCB and it puts a different resistor in the path. So the next one is pin 4. Huh. I didn't get it in right. No wonder. It did feel different. Yeah, 1.2K. That should be our BMSs. So we got to pull this thing apart and correct the problem. I didn't get it put back together right. No wonder it felt weird. Bum, 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 ba-da-da-da-da. Hey, 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 reality is touch. Oh yeah, I gotta not hold on to that side. Yeah, I think I missed it. All right, well, try again. Yeah, the bar is below the thing. It didn't latch in properly. Did I bend it? No, it's okay. This is metal, so I think it can withstand the odd forces that we're putting into it. So I just need to get this like in position close, and then it'll fall into place. Oops, make sure to plug in the button too. We haven't tested that one yet. Got to test everything when we're done to make sure that we've assembled it properly. How am I supposed to... There we go. Nope, missed again. It has to be up in like the middle of the plastic piece here so that it can fall into the right spot. Okay. No, I missed again. Ah, how did I get it the first time? Sheesh. If I go all the way up like this, so it's like touching the bar, and then it'll just get, yeah, it'll just get pushed out of the way. There we go. Okay. There it is. And hopefully I got the up and down. If I got that wrong, I guess we'll be able to tell on the pinout. I need the top cover to be on it though, so that it holds together through all of my shenanigans. And a little pin has to be positioned. This must have been a nightmare to assemble at the factory. Okay, that feels right again. Yeah, that sticks, and then that's feels a little bit, it's got a slightly different feel to it. Cool. Okay, so let's, now we got to check all the pins again, because it's possible that I could have left something unseated. The right and left might not work anymore. Then after all this is said and done, I need to get some Windex and wipe off all this stuff because it's covered in my grease. Actually covered in its own grease. It's the grease that's inside of these things to keep all that plastic sliding smoothly against itself. It's got this nasty stuff in it. That's why my mouse is getting shinier and shinier as we gain these pinouts. All right, so common to common. It's all the way down there. Common to common, and then we go to pin 8. We should get, fuck. Okay, hold on, check continuity. Oh, wrong wire. Doot. Hold on. I think I got it back in, but there's a possibility that the right and left don't do anything after I'm done with it. I need to make probe hats that specifically go to pins like this. And I had the opportunity to do it. It's just that the way that these high voltage probe pins break is the bottom of the thing breaks. Ugh, damn it. Come on, man. So it only plugs in so much. Okay, so that does work. Good. 300 for left, 1.2 for right. Move over to pin 4. Hard to see because my shadow blocks. And so 300. Is that not? Oh boy. Why does it only work in one direction? What? Is the pivot off? Maybe the pivot's off. Yeah, see, if I go there, then I can get the 1.2. But you shouldn't have to indicate right in order to get your flashers to work, your high beam flashes to work. So we're still not seated properly. Damn it. We can do this. We can do this. It's a struggle bus today. We're getting there, though. This is slowly working out. Yes, everybody make your jokes. I even made one in the title for you. No, snap back together. Stop it. Snap back to reality. Oops, there goes gravity. Now, what possibly messed up this time? That is in the cart. It seems a little bent. Well, that works. I see the cart moving. Why isn't it? It doesn't go far enough down? I think maybe it's just not seated. The bar isn't seated properly. And that looks right. That seat's in there. Does that one snap down a little further? Hold on, let's snap it out first. Oh, yeah, see, that was floating. It should have probably been snapped in. No, it just kind of falls in there. There, like that. And this one's just kind of falling in there. It's like rubbing against that. It probably shouldn't be rubbing against that, but I don't have anything to deal with that. Unless it's bent. Oh, it's bent. Okay, maybe that's the problem. We fiddled with it too much. This thing is not particularly strong. It's actually quite weak. So we need to kind of make sure that the cheap metal is unbent. So let's try to get that in there without bending anything again. Yeah, this is a much cheaper metal than I thought, so it's very susceptible to, wait, what the hell is that? What was that tool? Oh my God, the 3D connection mouse, man. What are you doing? There's this other button up here, and that pulls up like a little circle menu, and whichever way you go in the circle menu, that's what you select. So I naturally want to move my mouse away from that menu to not select anything, but that ends up selecting stuff. Get this greasy bastard back in here. I have to be oh so careful with snapping it into position. Now it should probably move properly, because before that was bowed downwards from when we installed it wrong and I went up against it and it bowed it down like that. And so that explains why we didn't get any change in resistance when I went to put the, when I went to flash high beams, basically. Flash dem beans. Okay, so that like that. This needs to go up a little bit so that I can capture. And that slots forward. And before I operate it, I'm going to put it back together just so that I don't screw it up. Okay. That feels a little better. Gotta put the whole thing back together every single time and test it all every single time. God, who made this stupid thing? Oh, it's an SAE part. Huh. I wonder if that means that they have like a different company make it so that it's like up to regulations or something. Kind of like dot headlights. Okay, probes. I'm gonna put this up on top of the probes so they don't walk away from me. Common to common. I am now wearing more of the grease than is in here. And then we look at, I'm gonna look at the high beams first. There it is, 1.2. And then back for 300. Cool. Then right and left. It's not plugged in. Left. Uh-oh. No, no, no. Don't do this to me. Don't you do this to me. Oh, you bastard. Oh, you son of a bitch. You ain't gonna get away with this with me. You are going to get away with this with me. Ah. If it ain't one thing, it's another. You got to be kidding me. No, it's got to be a loose wire. It's a loose wire. It's not a loose wire. It's not a loose wire. I screwed up. I didn't capture the little cart. Shit. Double check that I'm definitely on the wire. Ah, no. Something new. It's messed up every single time, huh? I guess the reason that you put it on two different wires is because combinations of them can be selected. And that the steering wheel positioning stalk is designed to not allow multiple inputs at the same time. Its pattern is not, it doesn't combine any of the two. So anything that can't be hit. All right, so this whole thing has to come out. Yeah, see the cart's all the way over there. At least they gave me like a neutral position for the carts. They can go a little, they can extend beyond what they're supposed to do so that if you install things improperly, it will just simply move to a position that's neutral. I'll only fight you in a place with no people. All right, so I guess I can check early on that one. Be kind of cool if I had the wiring harness for this. Although we don't need all of that wire. We don't need the big wires. That means you're in... Oh dear, okay, that's not... That ain't right. At least I caught that early. Okay, cool. Let's get that back together. Finally. Now that everybody is working. Huh? I thought everybody was working. I thought we were cool. Aren't we cool? We cool? We're not cool. What's going on? That's still working. So things are slowly... Oh, it's because of this thing. This is on this big spring beam and it needs to line up the upper piece of it. It's lined up. Oh, it's not seated all the way down. Okay. Comes in a little bit more, I guess. Oh, nope, that wasn't it. There we go. Yeah, it needs to sit a little bit further down. There. Okay. Whew. Right, and that's the work? Yep, okay. This is a dangerous thing we're taking apart, man. These are unpredictable. That feels better. Okay, let me double check and we'll go to the headlights. Okay, 1.2, 300. Okay, cool. And now we go to the button. And the button's gonna have nothing. Nothing. Oh, that's not the button. This is the button. Continuity. Open. Continuity. Open. It's possible that it has a 20K or a 20 ohm. Yeah, it's 22 ohm. I don't know if that's quite the case, but I'll mark it down. 22 ohm. What is the BE button or BC button? I don't know what that is. Okay, we got the pinout for it, finally, and reassembled it. It's not a kind device. Question is, do we see the exact same thing on the other side? So let's get into the headlights now. Or sorry, the windshield washers. There, the windshield wipers. There we go. I should put an actual wiper motor in the thing and have it brush the monitor. Cool. Now we know how that works. On to the next greasy thing. So this would be indicator. And then this one, this one, this one, and this one. There we go. So by filling them in, I know which ones are actually populated. And now we know sort of how this whole thing is wired up. I made a little bit more of a tight circuit diagram on this. I'll obviously correct that later, but yeah, so it's like one is latching and then the other one is temporary. I don't know how you would note that down in one single switch. There are all kinds of different symbol things that you would follow to indicate that, but I don't need that information. I know what's switch and what. We're not, you know, communicating to aliens what these things do. We can make them a little bit simpler in drawings. A schematic diagram is just a communication tool between engineers, and so in this case, I'm the only one that really needs to know what's going on there, and I follow most of the conventions of schematics just because if I don't know what I was doing when I drew something, you know, why are there dicks drawn all over this thing? I can then go back to the conventions of schematics and I can say, all right, why did I draw dicks all over this thing? And it says, well, you need to draw dicks on every single schematic. And I'm like, oh, okay. Now I know. It's just there for, you know, it's like a symbol. Time has forgotten why we do it. But we continue on the tradition as is needed, as is expected of us, you know? Gotta do what you gotta do. We only have 2 wires that are communicating several windshield wiper modes. Interesting. What does it all mean? So this has a slightly different setup in it. I don't know why it would be so different, but I guess if it ain't broken, don't fix it. We'll do things the same way over and over again. It's same company, same markings on it at least. We have a slightly different feel to the whole thing. It is a 4-position movement, and then we've got our temporary pull, and it looks like each one has a different feel to the pull. And you could make this really complicated. You could make it so you have to be in a certain mode for it to, so like this is wiper speed, right? Which is totally evident by this symbol here. And then we have the wiper, like the wipe speed and then the time, the dwell between wipes, basically. And then pulling on it does your windshield washer. Pushing it back, I don't know what that does. Oh, I think that turns on the rear one. That turns on the back window when you push it backwards. Pretty crazy. And now I unseat it. So I'm going to push it in. There we go. Just carefully grab this. And then we've got the same setup with a bar and a thing moving forwards and backwards. So I don't know, in lieu of, well, we've got a couple different resistors on this and our 10-pin pinout. Oh yeah, we got different pins. All right, so I'm gonna mark this down again, same way. So we've got, this time the nub is on the different side. Nub here, small, small, big, big, and then it's still 10 pins. Nine and 10. Oops. Whoa. I'm going to draw a 9 there. I'm going to number them the same way, even though it's just it's a little weird. And then the ones that are populated are not pin 10. And then the 3 on the top, going like this. 1, 2, 3. And it's going to be way more helpful for us if we can actually just look at the circuit board, because it's got a weird pin layout. So let's get the bar out of here, that over there, and that'll expose the plastic hold down piece. And we got our 2 carts. All the lessons we learned from the other stalk will hopefully help us put this one back together without too much pain. But there are a lot of pins. I'm a little concerned about that. Pin tool. This thing is so useful, and it's really what it's designed for is gauging openings, like gauging holes. You would use this to like gauge the size of a hole. I use it as just an all-around hook. It just works for me for all kinds of different tasks related to hooking things, which come up more often than you would think when you're messing around with consumer electronics. Strangely enough, it's one of the more useful tools that I have. And I use it as a, you know, a hook when I'm building circuit boards with the wire wrapping wire. I'm saying a lot today. Do I say a lot? A lot? And do I go, I don't know if I might do that. Maybe a thing that I do. All right, so what do we got going on here? A little greasy. Greasy. A lot of contacts, and they do a lot of things. These are weird. Oh, I gotta position myself a little differently. Common looks to be pin, what I would be calling 9. Actually, wait, pin... Okay, pin 9 is this one, which is common with pin 7? Oh, and they use the other side of the board. Tricky, tricky. But they didn't solder mask this side of the board. I wonder how many of these fail. It's in a relatively dry area, I guess. Covered in grease, though. So it looks like this one is common because our 2-pin thing is going to it. Yeah, it looks like we've got another situation where this one is common, and that would be the very bottom pin. So in our case, it's now pin 9 because I numbered these differently. So it's pin 1, 2, 4, and 7, 8, and 9. 9 and 9 is ground. Common to all of them. The pin that goes to the speed selection is pin 8. Is that right? Hold on, that sticks through like that. Yeah, doot, doot, doot. And then pin 8 would be speed. Speed select, and then we can do speed select right now because that's all hooked up. So speed select, I don't know if it's like speed select or if it's called something a little different. Common to common. Speed select to speed select. And then we got, oh, I didn't do the right. That's the wrong, that's the wrong direction. I need to get into that. Yeah, these don't have any kind of an indicator on them. The Mercedes having an indicator on the stock is very strange. Very strange. You could put like a little light on the dash or something that would say seat heat or wheel heat or whatever. That plugs in this way. Well, it won't really matter. Okay, so at the bottom we have 8K, or no, at the top. So speed select, we got top 8K. Below that, 6K. You guys can see what I'm doing? Yeah, okay. There's only 4 selections, so 4K, bottom is 2K. 8, 6, 4, and 2. And then I'll just put like a ground signal at the side here. Because those are connected to the ground of everybody else. So that's just a 4-position switch. All right. So then the windshield washer is the pull, which I think is this one here. There are traces that run off of the board. What is going on there? It seems like maybe this would be in a different design and those would do some other kinds of connections. There's just some weird stuff going on this. And there's 4 positions for this one. They cut off that common. This is the common for everybody. No resistors on that, so it's just a pull stalk. Wait, what is the... No, but the push should turn on the rear one. So what's going on there? Oh, okay, hold on. Let me reorient myself here. So pin 9 is our common ground. That's that one there. Pin 9, common ground. Common ground to 2 things. Goes over to that switch there. So, wait, but then it also goes to this side of it. Huh? Oh, no. Sorry. Other side is, Jesus, keep hitting my glasses. Okay. Pin 9 is here. 9 also goes there, which goes to this side of this. That doesn't make sense. That goes to this pin and this one. That was the one we just measured, so I don't think I have the right pins on that one. Oh no. Oh no! Okay, hold on. We're looking at this. This goes in there. That's like that. So I got it all wrong. This drawing is all kinds of wrong. Okay, hold on. I gotta start over, I think. No, I got that part right. I don't need to start over. Hold on. Pin 9 I thought was our common, which this is 9. But 9 appears to go to this side of the switch and to this other pin here. What the fuck? What is this doing? Because this one goes all the way over there, and it goes all the way. So is that one actually ground? That one goes to this switch. That one goes to this switch. This one goes to there. This one I thought would be on its own, going to there. What in the world is that doing? Why does it go to both of those? And it just gets switched to ground, it seems. How then what's the other direction doing? I mean, that doesn't go anywhere, so that's not an option. Is the other direction just nothing? Maybe that's what it is. Because you can pull on that one to wash the what you call it, but then you can also push it, and I think it does the rear wiper, unless this comes from a car that doesn't have one. The rear windshield wiper. It might be at enough of an angle that they don't need one on there. Weird. Okay, so that would maybe warrant a different circuit board in that case. It would need another resistor on it. This doesn't have any resistors on it. It's all just connecting things. Although the speed adjustment does have different resistors. This one just does different continuities for the 4 positions. Oh boy, how's that going to work? Well, I got 4 boxes. It's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So whatever combination of these connections is in those 4 lines, that, and that. Oh man, but there's a lot of shared lines. So the pin that is doing this guy is getting ground from one of the pins and then positive from the other. I would assume that ground is on that pin. Aya Demi, thank you so much for the sub. I really appreciate that here on my partnerversary, the eve of the day that I was granted a Twitch partner. Well, I just say it's so weird. This might be a common. I can see it going in two directions on the other side of the board. And on this side of the board, it comes over to this switch, and then it also goes to this switch. So I'm going to call that common, which is 10, 9, 8. It's actually pin 8 is common. Cross that out and make it an 8. And then pin, well, okay. We're looking straight up at it. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 2 and 1, 2, 4. 5 and 6 is gone. 7, 8. 8 is ground. No. Pin 2 would be ground in that case, unless we're looking at it. I want to cry. What direction am I doing here? Or is that the way that we want it to be? So it's those 3 with pin 10. Well, that would be pin 9 as ground, unless we, fully. But the pin orientation is really messing with me, guys. It's really killing me. I was counting them like this, so maybe we'll just continue with that. In which case, pin 2 is ground. This is ground, because that's running all the way over here, where it connects to that switch, and then it also goes to there, and then it also, well, I think that's it. So in that case, it's pin 2 would be ground. The pin for the stalk, other than ground, is pin 10, 9, 8, pin 8. So then, pin 9 and 7 are the same thing, and they go to this switch. So 9 and 7 go to a switch. Just draw it as a switch to ground, and that's wash. I thought there were 2 positions for wash. I thought we'd have this and then whatever this is for the other direction. But it looks as though we don't have any provisions for that. There's nothing hooked up. Weird. Weird! Yeah, I guess a rear windshield washer is not going to be something that I can control of the stock, which I'm a little bit annoyed at that, because if, we're not always going to be in a certain kind of BMW, so we might have a rear washer on some of them. I'll have to hook it up to some other control. I have to be on the steering wheel or something. Yeah, it seems like it's only goes in one direction. Okay, so then the other 3, what is it? It's 1, 2, and 4. Oh, but we already know 2, so it's 1 and 4 rather. 1 and 4, these 2 crossways here, are going to somehow connect such that it will give us 4 positions. And since it is binary, we know that there are 4 potential connections between these 2 and ground. So that would be what it's like. It looks like it skips back and forth. So in position all the way to one side, both are grounded. Then only one is grounded. Then the other's grounded. Wait, what's going on down here? Wait a minute. This is ground. Or is it? No, that's pin 2. Pin 1's here. So it would be all the way over here, they're both grounded. Here, nobody is connected. Here, pin 4 is grounded. and here only pin 1 is grounded. So it's okay. So it would be 4 positions. That's going to be kind of sloppy. So let's just 1, and 4. So on the first side, it would be, I'm going to go back to micro while I note this down. So on one side, 1 and 4, both ground. Next to that position, nobody is grounded. I'll just put an X in that, I guess. Then the next position, pin 4 is grounded. Pin 1 is not. And then the last position, pin 1 is grounded, pin 4 is not. So it's ground or disconnect. And that's the logic behind that. I don't know what those positions are. I'll note them down when we plug it in. So that's how it's doing. It's a little GG. GG. Okay, let's put it back together before my butt explodes. My butt's gonna blow up because I've been sitting on this stool for too long. It's not exactly the most ergonomic stool in the world. It does get me up and down out of it though, if I'm being too sedentary. That's one of the good parts about using a really uncomfortable stool from the 1960s. These was my grandfather's stools. Not his poop, not his poop. It's not poop. It's an actual sitting stool. I'm kind of disappointed that I didn't get the one where you can push it forward and it turns on the rear wiper. I should have looked at that. No wonder this is cheap. I don't remember when I bought these. It was a long time ago. The certain models of BMWs have an incline on the rear windows such that they don't have to have a whatchamacallit. They don't have to have a rear wiper. If it is a certain amount of vertical, you have to have a rear wiper. Happy partnerversary, grandfather stool sitter. That's a weird thing to say. It's kind of a weird thing. What does it mean? What does it mean? What? We got to make all this stuff go back to a microcontroller and have logical controls on the micro, and that will then make our our CAN bus signals. Looks pretty good. Doesn't look like I broke it. Pretty good. Okay. There's a little tiny click that makes when it sits back into its location. And then we got to go to like a neutral position on that thing. And I got to make sure that it slides in just right. That goes there. This has to go to both things without... There's that one. I see the cart moving down there. Good. I think I might get this one. This one might be a first try. There we go. Yeah, this one doesn't push back. It only goes one way. It doesn't go the other one. There's probably a stopper in there. I have a question. What can we do if we run out of electrons ever? We got other problems if that happens. We got other problems. If the universe runs out of electrons, which is silly because there's conservation of energy, that would mean that everything would have gone into black holes by then and we're done. That's like well beyond end of the world prediction. It's like the Stephen Hawking prediction that everything's going to fall into black holes. And bada bingus. 4 positions, pull on that, no push on that. That sucks, man. I can't believe I don't have all the controls I could have. This is supposed to be a luxury car. I'm gonna have to do some other button panels on this thing, right, to get other controls into the whole setup. So I'm probably gonna end up making it like a modular synthesizer, and that way I can have like, not deep, but I can have these panels that have stuff on it. because I've also got other controls that I can do that can be unrelated to automotive, you know, because this will also be a flight sim kind of pit. But yeah, I've got like the parking lever and the auto H from the shifter that my brother gave me. These probably speak digital though. Will your degree have value still after electrons are not existing? Or you mean after all the good noble gases are gone? I'll still have my boyish looks by the time all the electrons are gone in about 7 billion years, give or take a couple billion. Oh, the grease is just everywhere. All right, so true to form, we got to test these and make sure that they work the way we think they work, and that I didn't break them with my brain. With my incredible brain. 2 of these guys. I need a better way to connect these to little probes. Cannot have electrical engineers without electrical. Man, I don't. So the question of what to do when there are no longer electrons. That's like heavy physics. That's like deep physics. That's not the stuff we do here. You'll wanna take that up with like a physics professor that knows theoretical planetary physics to really get anywhere with that. We're good at manipulating those little electrons. We like them here. We don't want them to go anywhere, and they're not going to go anywhere. All right, so common ground, that's on pin 2, which in this case is this one. Pin 2, and then if I go to, let's go to the one that's just adjacent. We'll not do 1 and 4. We'll go down to the button on the end. So that's 7 and 9. That's these 2 down here. So I go to this one. Oh no, that's does this. Yeah, there we go. So see, it goes to 0.9 ohms, which is continuity basically on this meter. And if I go to the one next to it, it also does ohms. Yeah, 7 and 9, and then pin 8, which is our speed select for the wiping action, we get between 8K. Oh, wait. 8, 6, 4, 2. Oh, that's what I have down here. Okay, 8, 6, 4, 2. 6, 4, 2. Different ohms values means that the resistor divider has a different division between the resistors, and so you get 4 distinct voltage levels. So the smaller the resistance, down here at 2K, you will have less of a pull down on the line. Or sorry, you will have a stronger pull down. Less resistance, stronger pull down, because a short circuit will pull you all the way to ground. And since this is common ground, because, you know, I'm looking at the way things are constructed here, and everybody is sharing a ground. So when you have it on this setting right now, for 2K, it's pulling down harder, your voltage level is lower. And then you increase that pull down resistor to ground, and it will increase the voltage because it'll be pulling against the resistor, the big resistor that goes up to power will be able to affect more change on the line. There, that's just, God, you gotta like turn things around in your brain. So anyway, that's that. That's just this thing on the end. So next we did the washer. We know that one works. Next we have pins 4 and 1. So if I go to pin 4, there's going to be 2 of these that will give us low ohms, that one and that one, and 2 that give us nothing and nothing. Oh, that one also, what is the bump down is if you want to, wait, 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay, so 1, 2, 3, and then bump. Donald, bump. So 2 is there. That one has ground. Let's find what bump is. So no ground there on bump. And then this one is, oops, bump. So when one has, so that's bump. Bump, and then this one should have ground only on 4, which I believe we verified. Yeah, so 1, 2, and then 3 is both. So 3 speed, we have 0.9 here, and if I jump over to the other position, 0.9, we go down 1. Wait a minute. Position 2 should have no continuity there. Huh. Okay, bump. Nothing. I gotta rethink this now. All right, got it wrong. Something's wrong in here. So on this one, we know that it is both continuity, right? Both are 0.9. That one and this one. So yeah, that's good. G, G. Down 1 from it, and pin 1 has ground on it. And then pin 4 has nothing. Four has nothing, yeah. Ground X. 1 down from that. 4 has, because it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 has ground. And then pin 1 has nothing. So then, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, which would be off, and then bump. So it's actually, wait, there's an additional position. Wait. How can there be an additional position? So if I'm, okay, first position, pin 1 has continuity. Second position, pin 1 has continuity. Third position, nothing. Fourth, nothing. Fifth, continuity. So nothing, and then ground. And then on the other one, on pin 4, just running through it, hold on. I'll read chat in just a sec. First position, ground. Second position, open. Third position, ground. Fourth position, nothing. Fifth position, nothing. So it's technically running, so this would be top, bottom, and then this one is bump. So if it is in an open and it goes ground open, then it knows to just do a 1 cycle. But then above that, so above this position, nothing, nothing, you get pin 4 goes, then pin 1 without 4, and then you get both of them. That is, there's an extra position on it, and it's like running this one, but I guess the controller would be aware of where it's positioned. Or it's not aware of where the position is, and it just runs this speed very briefly, which goes doot doot. That's probably what it is. It just runs you at that speed. So differentiating this from one of these positions is going to be tough. I think it's just going to have to work in the same way, where if you do this, it counts as putting it to this position for like a second. Cool. Okay, well, now we know the pinout. That's everything. We've tested it all. Fairly complicated stuff. Whew. That was annoying. And then I'm going to have to commit this to like a digital document when I'm covered in grease right now. I'm covered in stalk grease. My only regret is that I have bonitis. My only regret is that I can't push this thing back to turn on the rear washer. That's gonna be a sticking point with me, isn't it? My station wagon has the rear washer, so I have a stalk on my station wagon that I push back in order to activate a different thing on it. Ooh, that's gonna bother me. That's gonna bother me greatly. How much is one of these? It's gonna be too expensive. And if I were to get stalks, I'd probably want to get the more modern ones so they'd speak digital. E46 wiper stalk. Pre-owned. Yeah, see, like you can get all of them and the plastic piece that they fit in and the horse they rode in on for 20 bucks. But it looks like this one doesn't have the washer on it. There would be on the end of the stalk, there's a little like washer symbol, a little spray scooshy guy. So this is the clock spring, this piece right here. We're going to be reinventing the clock spring because our wheel goes 180 degrees, or 360 degrees, sorry. Our wheel goes 360 degrees, not twice. This thing has a thing in it where if you go 2 times around, it will hit up against the plastic stop, but I doubt the veracity of that plastic stop. I don't think that plastic stop is going to be enough to stop the wheel, especially if I, get in and out of the car while holding onto the wheel. It's possible that I could break it. And then after those little plastic stops break, what you have left is a flat cable that would get overextended and potentially blow up. So I want my wheel to be able to go 180 degrees. 365 days, 360 degrees. I just walked up there and did a 360 and then I kept walking in the same direction. So the thing that we will not be able to, well, yeah, I won't have the windshield wash, or I'll have the windshield washer. I won't have the rear washer, which I guess it's a more rare part because it's for like the station wagons and stuff. It's the typical E46 sedan doesn't need a washer on the rear windshield. The rear windshield, that's the rear window. The rear wah. My brain work good. Oh wait. No, see, pull only for windshield washer. Interesting. Okay, well, I learned something today. And hopefully I'm never going to think about that again. So we'll either do it tomorrow or I don't know, maybe some other time. We'll need to hook up a microcontroller that will do this guy, and this guy all at once. And that'll be all the steering wheel controls. And then I can have it also go through the clock spring in order to have, what do you call it? Through the clock spring in order to be able to take the LIN bus signal into the wheel. We already know about all that stuff speaks, but car parts, electrical stuff is wild. I find it very interesting that they have like a tier of resistors in order to communicate what is going on with the stock. And it seems like for the 4 positions of this one, that down feature is literally just mimicking as if the stock were here, and then it just springs back. And we can't get around that functionality. It would be nice if this could have a special feature and I could reassign it, but it seems like it's stuck being sort of in the, that's so weird. This will always be pressing that other button. So we won't, like, let's say, for instance, if I wanted to have an animation on screen that showed what controls I was pressing, I can't differentiate this from the stock suddenly being in this position. I can't do that because it's the same electrically as any other position. It's a weird thing, but what it did is it saved BMW having to use 5 resistors. They would have had to put 5 resistors in this thing. Criminal. Instead, they put 1 extra wire and they made it a logic puzzle. And then they made this thing do the same thing as the other. Very strange. It's delay actuated and considers the previous possible value to decide which function to activate? No, because if you turn the car off fully and unplug the computer and plug the computer back in, it'll still get this right. You don't have to calibrate the position of your windshield lever. Otherwise you would, because if it would be in this position or if you were leaning on the button, it wouldn't know. I guess knowing the previous position means that actually, you know what, that actually could work, Nightmare, you're right, because that's a unique position. That's not. That's a unique position. That's also a unique position. This one will only come about when you've got nothing, nothing first. You'll have that other position come in before you get, so it can uniquely identify it with just a little bit of memory. And if you are in a weird mode, like if I have this thing here, you could just have it pop out and recalibrate when you go to there. So that variable, you know, doesn't know if you're holding it here or if you're holding it here, but as soon as you pop out of that mode, it'll then know. Weird. All right, well, I guess we learned something today. Yeah, it's a little bit early. You know, I'd like to go a little later, but we don't have any content. And I think the act of hooking this all up to a microcontroller, that's best saved for its own stream. That'll be next stream. We'll hook everybody up to a microcontroller, and then we can have a little serial printout that says curse words at us depending on what position we have this various stuff in. And we'll have to learn, you know, what the circuits are going to look like for these things. They're all going to have pull-ups and stuff, but we'll get that all on a piece of paper, rather a drawing, because when push comes to shove, you know, in 7 years from now, and something breaks on the setup, we'll want to be able to pull up a document and, oh, okay, that's what I did there. So we'll have to put something together that'll be sort of our master wiring document for these things. And these will definitely go into use on the regular setup. It'll be very nice to be able to just kind of smack the indicator stock, or yeah. The only problem is getting this little guy to work in unity with everybody else, because these were organized differently, and it's an ideal light. Some capacitor or battery just exploded in something and made a loud bang over here, and I have no idea what. Oh, that's not good. You got to triangle. Those make my hair stand on end when stuff like that happens, because you're like, okay, I got to triangulate the position of where that actually happened here, and it turns out it was a giant block of ice falling off of the chimney. Our chimney, for some reason, just because of the direction of the storm and how the veracity of the storm, how heavy the storm was, it was able to grow a block of ice that was literally this big solid chunk of ice, and it was sitting on a flat piece of metal on the chimney. And so one day it just came barreling down from 2 stories up. But that was just because of the huge storm we got here in the Northeast. There was a smell yesterday, but it went away, and you don't get a smell today. One of my favorite instances of something like that happening was when the layout that I used to have in my computer desk, I would have my computer sitting in the keyboard tray, because it was a very small computer. It was sitting in the keyboard tray, and it would generate a lot of heat. And all that heat would build up, and it would waft up into my face. Nothing does worse for me, specifically for a bother, than having anything but freezing cold air blowing on me. If I have warm air wafting up, it is so uncomfortable. So what I did in the back of the computer desk was I put 2 big fans, and they were just exhausting down at my feet. Being me, I had to make it reactive and responsive to the temperatures within the computer. And so I put a plug on the computer, I put some temperature sensors inside, I put an overall atmosphere sensor on it. We ran that all to the fans, and it had its own little setup with a little wall wart that plugged in. And suddenly something weird was happening. Like the fans weren't quite working. The LEDs on them were going weird. The LED, I had just like WS2812 LEDs way before WLED was a thing, so I couldn't do cool patterns on them. I just had like LED lights that would represent cool and hot. And so weirdly, like things were working funny. They were powering up weird. I didn't quite get like the right voltages and things until I tested it, and then it was the right volt. Very weird. Took a whole look at the thing, pulled it all apart, tested all the pieces. Turns out inside the wall wart that I had plugged into the wall, all the capacitors exploded, and the electrofluids or whatever, the electrolyte fluids, or what are they, electrolytic fluids, that stuff went everywhere inside of the wall wart. We had to open up the wall wart, which you do by cracking it in a vise, open it up, and those were just, it was a bloodbath. So it was no wonder I got like weird readings on the voltages where like ground wasn't ground and positive wasn't positive, because everything disconnected and blew up. Somehow it was kind of limping along and making power, but it wasn't good power. It was not good power. I hope that didn't happen to you, because the breaking apart wall warts is kind of a tough thing. If you have any way to measure temperatures on them, maybe it's time to do a sweep. I plugged in a new thing today. Could have been that. Uh-oh. Well, you're going to have to investigate the new thing. I'm going to be back tomorrow. Let me just make my end command here. Thank you guys for joining me. We will get to cool stuff like this again tomorrow. Maybe we'll hook it up to a couple of microcontrollers. Well, one microcontroller, and we'll see if we can get a thing that begins the system. We're starting to put together the system that's going to power the sim rig, and it's going to be awesome. I think it'll be very, very cool indeed. So I hope you join me tomorrow. If not, I hope you are out touching grass and getting things done that you need to get done. Otherwise, I'll see you here. You have no excuses. Here is, oh wait, I put the same command in, that was dumb. Today is the 5th, so we're going to make it the 6th. Let's make it the 6th. And here's the end card, end command rather. Have a good afternoon nap and dream of car sim things. I will not be napping. I will be walking the dog. Did I put a space? Why is there space in there? The end. There we go. I'll be back in a Peasly 20 hours, 16 minutes, and 26 seconds. I hope to see you then. Bye. Oh, wait. Just check real quick. I don't know. Gonad's probably streaming. You guys should filter in there. Everybody go watch Flatulent Gonad. Oh, he's actually not. Show more. Yeah, everybody else is offline. Polrin's doing Spirit Life. Ella is currently streaming My Summer Car. Ella would be the best place for you guys to go. You watch My Summer Car. Uo's not around this late in the afternoon. Oh, Flatulent Gonad is there. I have the blinders on. So he did go live. Let's raid you guys into Flatulent. We should do that. Oh, /raid. Flatulent. I'm all out on my own to spell this right. Okay, I got it right. It's got the right thing on it. Let's go in there. We're gonna do more with these stalks tomorrow, and I will catch you all then. When can we raid? It makes me wait like a million years. What are they doing? I don't know. Let's go see what they're doing. All right, so we raided in YouTubers, and anybody still watching, I will catch you later. Let me just hit the buttons, and I gotta go pull up Gonad's stream on my other machine.